Testing, testing. Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Hello, people in the chat. Uh Give me members of the chat, members of the Latino Slant. Show me some Slantino emoji love for Robert Meyer Burnett. We're only a couple minutes late, but we were talking and we could have kept talking. I love Robert Meyer Burnett. So hit me up right now in the chat with some Slantino emojis. Let's get that going. I have a one song request. I'm only going to get one song done. Okay, it's for David Glenn. He's a member of the channel, and this is Las Cafeteras, and these guys are from LA. And I know you're loving the song. Here's the thing. Here's a kind of in-house performance that they did. And I think it's like they perform on a tricked out bus. That's the whole shtick. So here you go, man. Enjoy a minute. There we go. Wait a minute. And and here we go.
José, 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 ¿dónde? ¿Estás?
Hey baby, ¿qué pasó? Thought I was your only vato. Hey baby, ¿qué pasó? Won't you give me un beso? Come on, baby.
Paulie here on the Latino Slant. Hi, everybody. It's me. It's Paulie. It is the Latino Slant. I hope everyone is doing great. I hope it's only Tuesday afternoon, but wow, what a wrecking ball already in the entertainment world of from movies, television, some of our favorite things going on, and sci-fi. A lot of activity, a lot of action. Again, I wanted to give a shout out to our member of the channel, David Glenn. That song is for you, buddy. And thank you to all the members of the Latino Slant. And if you're new here, do me a favor, say hello to us. Saludos. Hello, hello. We have a very cool and loving vibe here in the chat, and we would love to say hello to you guys, especially if you guys are Robert Meyer Burnett fans, first timers here hanging out, wanting to see the man. This isn't our first rodeo. We have been streaming on and off for the last couple of years. It's just been a few months. In fact, we did our favorite movies of the year. That was a lot of fun. Okay, a quick announcement really fast before we bring on my brother. And we have two great things going on in the next couple of weeks. Confirmed. Finally confirmed. Finally. All right. First off, Marco Zaror, martial artist, one of the stars of John Wick 4. He will be here on the Slant next week after this movie opens up. This weekend, John Wick 4, I'm going with Chris Gore. I'm going with Verbal Riot. We're going tomorrow night. I can't wait. And Marco Zaror could not be the nicer, such a nice gentleman. He's on the show. Another thing. So that's great. Look forward to that. Hit your alerts. The other thing, guys, is I've been touting about this new television show on Amazon Prime called The Head of Joaquin Murrieta. Joaquin Murrieta, who is a half legend, half real life person. He was a prototype for Zorro in the 1850s here in California. It's a great show. It is a killer television show. We got the director of the show, and we have the lead actress coming on the show, just confirmed. Man, and I've been working on that for like a month. for a month. Check this out. He had to get approved just to come on, approved from Amazon. So we're Amazon approved. Stupid asses. They don't know what they're gonna get. Okay, I'm kidding. But really fast, with that interview, Andre of Midnight's Edge and Pablo of Midnight's Edge Espanol, they're gonna join me, and we're gonna do this joint venture together of those interviews for Murrieta. So again, the easiest way you can keep up with what we got: alerts, and my community tab. I'm always active on that. All right. So speaking of collaborations, I think one of the first things, one of the first streams I did with this gentleman was a couple years ago already? Man, time's flying, brother. We did this huge reunion of the cast and crew of the film Blood In, Blood Out. And we're going to talk about this film because it just hit its 30th anniversary. But let's bring him on. My dude, Robert Meter Burnett, everybody.
Well, ¿qué pasa, mi hermano?
Hey,
¿Cómo
man.
está?
You looking good, eh?
Good to see you, mijo.
Hey, Miklo. What if we do
Miklo.
these accents the whole time?
Then I'm going to get cultural appropriated and canceled, and already I've been accused in the last couple days on Star Trek chats of being sexist and transphobic, which is such a weird thing because one of my dearest friends, who's a trans woman, sends me all this cool shit, and I got a great package in the mail from her where she sent me my dream. By the way, now that I've received my new passport, is I dream of going to London to go to Soho and party with her. I mean, I can't think of anybody. Her name's Emma Bannon, the lovely Emma Bannon. Ooh. And I can't think of somebody who I'd rather have a lost weekend with than her. Because, man, we would get up to some shenanigans. But, so that I can't, if I were to talk like this,
well,
people would get angry.
Well, one of our first segments is that we're going to make you talk like that.
Oh, I like that. You know what's so cool, though? I think I told you when I first moved to Los Angeles from Seattle, I was kind of obsessed with lowrider culture.
Yep.
Chicano culture, because we didn't have that in Seattle. And I loved going and seeing when the lowriders would bring out all their cars and stuff. And there was even a place, I was dating this girl, and there's a place in Highland Park where it's like a shop where you can go buy stuff for your car. And they'd bring out the cars. I don't know if it was like once a month or something, kind of like when they brought all the hot rods to Bob's Big Boy in Toluca Lake every Friday.
Yes.
And I would love that. I mean, I co-directed a music video for this band Chickenfoot, Sammy Hagar's super group with like Joe Satriani and stuff. And part of it was we had no money to do this video. And I went and went to the Bob's Big Boy parking lot and shot like really sensual close-ups of like the engines of all these cars and intercut it with this hot girl, and because that's what Chickenfoot was all about.
Let me tell you something. I honestly believe George Lucas hung out with a lot of Chicanos back in.
Oh, he was all up. He was all about car racing growing up in Modesto. He almost died in a. He was drag racing and wrapped his car around.
But the drag racers like to go fast. Where the lowriders.
Marco Lanny in the chat says La Isla Bernetta.
Yeah, there you go, Marco Lanai. Was that €5? I don't know, but
no, that's not a euro. That's
pound.
Lira? Is that lira?
Liras?
Is that that's Italian?
Oh, Italian. Marco, thank you for the money. I cannot tell you.
I love all people named Marco.
Marco, La Isla
Bernita. I have a Japanese CD single of that Madonna remix.
Oof, God, she was so beautiful, man.
Yeah,
she was.
I
don't want to really defame her too much.
Hey, I mean, it's got to be tough when you are, if you're a pop star that's relevant for 30 years. Oh, it's pounds. That's what it was. Pounds.
Yeah.
If you're a pop star that's, and I understand. I mean, it's got to be tough when, I was listening to her her first album with stuff like because my favorite early Madonna song off her first album was "Burning Up." I'm burning up for your love.
Uh-huh. Dude, she was a
Because I'm on
badass.
fire and I can't quench my desire. Don't you know that I'm burnt? No,
Burning it up for your love.
yeah.
You're not
It's not
convinced
that is enough.
And they call us
Because
transphobic.
you don't even know.
And
No,
then
it's such a funny thing, and I got called sexist because I was talking on the stream. I don't know if it was Midnight Musings, and I was saying that at some point we all want to be objectified by people that we hope find us attractive. And if like I objectify when we objectify women we find attractive, and women want to be objectified, like when they go out at night, dress up and look great. I'm not saying that women want to be objectified like in their lives all the time.
Sure.
But there are times when like when you work, if I look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club, I'd walk around with, a tank top all the time.
Oh God.
Preening because I had such great abs. And I would want to be objectified. And I don't think that there's anything wrong to say that people do, but apparently in Star Trek streams they take it the wrong way. So what are you gonna do?
So real fast, say hello to some people here. Member of the channel, Sci-Fax. I will see you tomorrow night with Chris Gore and the gang. The Richard, Blood In, Blood Out. One of the greatest videos. That one we did, the reunion panel, man.
That panel, well, it was so weird because it was you and Tom from Midnight's Edge. We were just randomly streaming about something. And there was no reason for it. And somehow either you mentioned it or I brought it up. I think you guys said something. I was like, oh my God. And I was going on and on and on about how I love that movie. And you were the ones that told me that you were putting together a reunion stream with the actors.
Right.
And it was really funny. And I said, well, have you reached out to Taylor Hackford? Now, I didn't know Taylor Hackford because Taylor Hackford, who directed like Officer and a Gentleman, he directed that film. And I said, what if we could get him? And dude, I didn't know him. And so my mission was to get Taylor Hackford to come to your stream that you already had Benjamin Bratt coming to and all this. And so I reached out to some friends of mine. Like if you're nowadays, because of COVID, if you're doing these kinds of things, you can get to anybody if there's an air of legitimacy about you at all. and because people were, and this was during COVID, people were like, and so I had a pretty high ranking, a former studio executive turned executive producer who now runs the media, the whole like film school in Oahu at the University of Hawaii. And he's like, oh yeah, I know who his assistant is or whatever, and put me in touch, and he I thought he'd come on for 10 minutes, but now you should share who Taylor Hackford's married to, who jumped on the stream for a brief moment.
Yeah, which is
that was amazing.
Yeah, well, and that's really cool because she was just recently in that Shazam 2.
Shazam, Fear of the Gods.
Is she a lady or is she a dame still? She's still
I think
dame?
she's Dame.
Dame Helen Mirren.
Dame Helen Mirren's been married to Taylor Hackford forever.
Forever.
And it's so funny. She just jumped on the stream. She knew what we were doing, and he stayed for like an hour.
She was, and she's just one of those
She was all coquettish and smiling, like, oh, hello. We're like going, oh my God, it's Helen Mirren.
Right. Because she, at that moment, she saw, who are all these boys? What are they doing, Taylor? And she wanted some of the love and attention, and she got it.
She got it. Well, you got Jimmy Baca to come on, who was the poet whose work, Blood In, Blood Out, was taken from his works, and he was so cool. That was, I got to say, that was one of my highlights of of having set it on my own YouTube channel. That was definitely one of the highlights, and it shows how much fun we can all have collaborating.
I mean, there was, you had some epic takes from Ben Bratt, from Jesse Borrego.
Oh man,
from Jimmy Santiago Waka. I mean, it kind of blew my mind, dude. It kind of blew my mind.
And Jimmy Baca stayed for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it was and we were raising money for the Latino theater in LA.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
I mean, to me, that's what the community of YouTube can accomplish. You know,
Oh, it
and
was great.
those kind of collabs were really, and that was again Midnight's Edge meeting you, and you were the first person I met in Meat Space of all the people that we went and saw at the holidays. What, 2 years ago? We went and saw Matrix Resurrections
Right. We saw Matrix Resurrections
together.
Together. We were the only people on Earth that liked it.
Yeah, and it was funny because I was surprised. I think you're an inch taller than me. You were such a tall, strapping, handsome man, and I'm like, wow, man, like you had gravitas and presence. Because you never know. Sometimes you meet people that they don't. I love meeting people. I don't care what they look like, but you just never know because you can't tell. You know what people, and it's so because you want to be able to pick them out in a crowd and. I didn't know if you'd recognize me or I'd recognize you.
No, and it's great. Like just like you said. Then when I first met, I mean you're a big boy, man. You were a football player. I could tell you were like a nerdy jock. I know you're a nerd.
I was
you know what? In high school you were a nerd jock.
I was a skier, and I was much thinner. But I did grow up playing baseball and basketball.
No, you didn't do any football?
I didn't do any football because by then I was really interested. When I got to junior high school, I ran track.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I ran track. And it was the thing was like I was telling you earlier, I started working at a video store when I was 13, and I was so into growing up in Seattle. There was so many per capita at the time. We had more movie theaters than any other city in the United States. And my nerddom, it was deep. And because I literally had one of the first VCRs and working at a video store, there was 15 kids. When I was in the 7th grade, there were 15 kids at my house every day watching R-rated movies. My mom would always get these calls. Your son showed my daughter Alien, and that movie's rated R, and there's violence in it. And I would say, yeah, but Mom, there's no sex in it. My mom's like, my mom didn't care. She's like, my son is sharing his love of movies. You know, my mom's
that time, late 70s and early 80s, those movies were still for adults.
Oh yeah.
Alien is a very adult sci-fi movie.
No, it was, and it was, but I got so into my interests, and my parents, Seattle had a great public transit system as well. And we had a lot of art house theaters. And so I was always getting my friends to go see, let's go see this. And there was a theater called the Neptune Theater that would show double features. It was kind of it was a landmark theater, but they would have, their calendar, they'd print out the calendar, kind of like the New Beverly prints out its calendar where they've got the double features. And then I would target, okay, we have to go see this. We have to go see this. We have to go see this.
You can put it up on the fridge.
Yeah.
Mark it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
that was each day had little images of the film or different font.
Yep. And for me, it was trying to see the movies, the classic cinema, whether it was French New Wave or Italian neo-realist or exploitation movies, whatever they were showing, we were going to see. And then also the new movies that were coming out, and it was a great time. So I still love to ski. So I skied all the way through high school.
So you were athletic. So you had your nerd side, right?
Yeah.
But if because you're athletic, you probably had the connect to the.
Well, I was also I was really social. So yeah, I mean I love the ladies.
I never had that problem either.
Yeah, it started very young for me.
But I wasn't athletic like I have been the last couple of decades. In the high school, was all theater. I had the beret. I would write poetry. I'd hang out in theater. But then I was very sociable. So. Yeah.
I mean, that was me. And because I was always the guy that's hey, let's have a party. And everybody could come.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And when I turned 16, when I could drive, what I work with, because at the time, video stores, we were selling in 83, 84, I was selling VCRs, and back then they were still $1,000. And the people that I work with, video stores, were still pretty high end. Yeah. So I worked at a store in Seattle called Video Space. It was right next to a supermarket, and in Washington State, the only way you could buy booze was at a Washington State liquor store. You couldn't buy booze in the grocery store. You could buy wine and beer, but that was it. So what I would do is, this is so funny, I would take orders from people for booze and movies. And so I would check out movies, and invariably it was a new release and a porn. And then I would charge a 20% markup for booze. So if you wanted $10 worth of booze, you'd have to give me $12. And I would fill my trunk up with hundreds of dollars worth of liquor. And then I would drive to like 3 or 4 parties on a Friday or Saturday night, deliver the booze. And I did it to go meet all the senior girls.
I love it. I love it.
I
love it. I love it.
And it was great because, you know, when you bring stuff, everybody loved you.
And it's not illegal, but it's like, you know,
well, it was
you're kind of dangerous.
Well, yeah, it was illegal because you can't have booze. But you
didn't get it through illegal means.
No. But there was always the kind of unwritten, because the whole thing is if you threw a party, you wanted to be able to throw another one. So people would party, and the parties would rage, but then people would show up the next day and help you clean up. So the parents never knew that you were throwing a rager.
No, you had to clear it all up.
Yeah, and because you wanted to perpetuate that. And it was, and then of course I had to get the videotapes. I had to gather the videotapes and take them back to the video store. And it was surprising because people were very respectful. It was, you know, and if you put out respect or whatever, I think you demand respect.
So getting back to that school cred in the, you know, you were able to, like, you know, be a part of not just one circle but several different.
Well, that was the whole. I genuinely liked everybody.
Yeah,
you know,
as you do now.
Yeah, my whole thing was I love people, you know, and I would love hearing stories and what was funny was at our school.
Yeah.
There was, like, if you're going to throw a party, my philosophy was everybody should be able to come, because you never know when somebody who least expect it will get up on a table and start singing. and it was like, because everybody, you know, so by the way, that last band you played before the stream started, they were great.
Fuck.
Like that dude, that lead singer, I could never dance or anything or sing like that guy, but I'd want to be like that guy.
But you know, he's not particularly, like, you know, handsome, but there's something about him. He's so talented.
Yeah, and he's charismatic.
Like, fuck, this guy's this guy's a badass. And he had his black turtleneck and the white long sleeve jean jacket. Come on, that is.
And you know what else though, dude?
Those boys can play. That band can play. Really fast, Rob. We're here with Robert Meter Burnett. It's so fantastic. A lot of people are showing you love. Aloha. MB.
It's good to hear the Richards here. Aloha to the Richard.
Jonas J. Campbell, who's part of a great channel. Howdy, Paulie. Hola. Robert Meter Burnett.
Hola.
Chris Gore. We know Chris Gore.
One of the people I've known in LA the longest. Chris Gore used to throw a great party at his Film Threat offices on the corner of La Brea and or was it Fairfax? No, it was La Brea. La Brea and Wilshire. He had an office in an Art Deco building that was on the corner.
Wait, and La Brea and Wilshire?
La Brea and Wilshire. Yeah.
I'm thinking La Cienega. La Brea and Wilshire. I know that Art Deco with the video store.
Well, it's funny you say La Cienega and Wilshire because Chris Gore also founded Sci-Fi Universe magazine that was in the Flint building. Yes. That was later. That was after.
I had an agent in that building. So it was always fun to go.
Oh, yeah. But he had like an outdoor patio and this is in like the early 90s.
Yeah.
But then he founded Sci-Fi Universe magazine with Mark Altman. I'm
going to see him tomorrow night. And you know, the thing is, we all got together, like Sci-Fax says, Empire Strips Back a couple months ago. And you had to leave early. Me and you just hung out after they started the show.
Yeah. No, it was great.
Yeah, that was really cool.
But Gary was there. Gary was there, and what's so cool though about what I think is really interesting about this community of YouTubers is that we've all gotten to know each other, and it's kind of like an ongoing 24/7 convention. You know, like WonderCon is this weekend, which, by the way, I'm doing a panel with these
Are
guys.
you?
Yeah, I'll be down there, I think, Saturday. Because we used to do, so I'll be down there, but it is like an ongoing, whether you go to watch Alan and Chris on Film Threats channel, or whether, you know, coming here, Midnight's Edge and Tom, and when Gary Beekler comes into town, I know he told me he was going to have a big meetup in Vegas during CinemaCon.
Yeah, you're gonna go in April.
I was going to go.
Let's go.
Who knows? I have a ticket, but who knows if I'm going to still be going.
We'll talk afterwards.
Yeah, but it's really cool that there's this ecosystem of everybody, and everybody's, you know, despite beef, that it's really weird. There's a certain group of people, like, we don't have beef with one another. Like, I don't, but there are YouTubers I know that do. There's a lot of drama, and I mean that DRAAAAMA, drama. And I try and stay away from that, but it's been a cool thing. And I think during COVID, with the rise of all these channels and getting to meet everybody, it's been a lot of fun. And I've been able to meet, and then additional people like Mahler and the Critical Drinker and Az, and
Don't you just want to go to the
Dave Cullen.
UK and meet all these people?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I want to meet Nate from Mr. 8, like Mr. 8's reviews.
I love that guy. He's what a handsome buff dude that guy is. I mean, I'm straight, but you know, I look at, and I love his voice. He's
his voice.
His voice. But you know what? We should like figure out a way to, like, I bet if we crowdfunded, like, this movie Tango Shalom might open in Germany in June, and I might go over there. And I was thinking, if that's the case, like, crowdfund a trip and use it and go throughout Europe and go to all these places and just have meet and greets with everybody, you know, and go hang out with everybody. And like, if you could get venues like John Campia and Christian Harloff and Real Rejects, they did an event.
They did. That's right.
And it would be like a crowdfunding thing would be like you pre-sell tickets, but whether we could find venues or not, and just go and travel through Europe and just have meet and greets with the European fans.
I think that would be cool. Like, if we really produce it, like really plan it.
Yeah. It'd have to be,
maybe rent an RV over there.
Oh my God.
And a British driver.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with that whole other side of the fucking car deal. I'm already like left-handed. I'm already freaking out driving. It's a right-handed world.
Well, I lived in New Zealand and Australia for long periods of time, so I drove on the opposite side of the road. But somehow, you know, it would be a lot of fun because I love all the UK streamers. I mean, I want to go to Europe. I want
to we should practice a little RV trip here, like, you know.
I know.
You're in Southern California. I'm in Southern California.
Yeah.
You know, and let's stay out of trouble so we won't go south of the border.
No. But we should, you know, we could probably get it sponsored.
We could.
And what would really be cool is to tie it into, find out when various, like, the bands that you promote, you know, make it we could go to New Mexico. We should go to like Arizona, New Mexico, Texas.
The easy one would be to Vegas because Andy and Santana are playing Vegas like throughout the year. So we can like, hey, we'll have we can even do a meetup in Vegas with Andy. We can even, you know, see if Salty Nerd podcast will go in on it. And, you know, you got us, you got the lead singer Santana. We're all hanging out. You know, why not? I don't know.
Well,
but you know, there's
find
some
black
ideas
magic
there.
women.
Got a black magic woman.
Dude, it's one of my favorite songs of all time.
Got a black magic woman. We got a couple more. We actually have a couple of super chats, which is wonderful. But before that, Dino's reviews come to the UK. We have biscuits.
Dude, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
One of my favorite. London is one of the great cities of the world. I mean, it is. It's incredible. I've been there. I've been twice, and I boy do I love that city, and I love the people in it. I mean, I've only ever had a wonderful time. I've never had a bad time going to Europe.
I'm kind of scared to go back to Europe, man, because I'm not single. I kind of want
Oh,
to say
that dude, that's the word. Yeah, yeah.
I can't believe I just said that.
No, I mean the yeah. From the very
Slip.
first night I was in Spain, it was
Oh,
all good,
Spain was a blast,
dude.
and that's when I
Spain.
was still drinking. Um,
Oh boy.
Lost for Words. Oh, I like that. Lost for Words. £3. It's a super sticker. Thumbs up. Thank you so much. And K Popcorn is here. $5. Just a quick hello. Good looking gentlemen. Have a good evening. RMB, that is my mom who I took to see Tango Shalom with.
K-pop corn is?
Yeah.
Well, hello. Thank you for going to see Tango Shalom. I very much appreciate it. Which, by the way, is streaming on Peacock, and
Really?
it's opening in the UK. Or we just made a deal. So when you make a low budget independent movie, it's an ongoing business concern. You have to sell it territory by territory, but we did just sell it to the UK. So people throughout, I think it's going to be in Scotland, England, Ireland. I don't know what else that deal covers. And I know we sold it to Benelux, and I know we sold it to, it was interesting, it opened in Ukraine before the invasion.
What?
Yeah, and once the invasion happened, and the Ukrainians made a trailer for it and a poster, which I'm trying to I'm trying to get. You can
That's
see
dope.
it, but the Ukrainian trailer for it. I mean, they give away a lot, but it's still it's a great trailer, and it's so weird when you make a movie and another country takes it, and you find out what they care about, like what do they find funny and how do they sell your movie. And I'll tell you something that happened. Our Ukrainian distributor asked us if to make money after the invasion, could they release the film in Poland and maybe make some money? And we said, yeah, go for it. So.
Wow. Jonas J. Campbell says, in words of Andy Shamberg, do an impression of Mark Wahlberg. Say hello to your ma for me.
Say hello to your ma. I love that so much.
Oh,
Say
wait a
hello to
minute.
your mother for me.
Oh, is that how you, yeah. Let me hear your best Marky Mark.
Yeah. Say hello to your mother for me. That's not Boston enough.
Say hello to your mother for me. Yeah, I can't do it. I
Hey,
can't
Mr.
do it right.
Hey, Mr.
Romy could
Giraffe.
do it.
Say hello to your mom for me.
JP RPH1, cheers to Paulie and R&B. It's awesome to see R&B pop up everywhere lately. I would never have given STP card season 3 a chance if it wasn't for you. Thanks.
Well, I'm glad look, it's I have to, every episode just does more things. Tomorrow night's episode, at midnight, there is a lot of, as people say, member berries, but in a really interesting way. So yeah, it's good stuff.
I mean, I have not. I think I saw one episode of the first season, and that was it. From what I'm hearing, you're preaching that season 3 is a good reason to watch.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I loved it. I mean, it's really interesting. There's a lot of people that I think it's kind of split the fandom. And the thing is, season 3, people are saying, oh, there are those that think it's Star Trek's greatest hits. But what I love about it is I'm a big fan of seeing movies like, I'll give you an example. The Color of Money, the Martin Scorsese movie, The Color of Money, that stars Paul Newman and Tom Cruise. It is a sequel to the movie The Hustler that Paul Newman made in the 60s. And that movie, it's based on a novel by Walter Tevis. He wrote both The Hustler and he wrote The Color of Money. And you meet this character, Fast Eddie Felson, and you see him when he was a hot-headed young man. And then you see him 25 years later when he's changed and life has changed him. And Paul Newman played Fast Eddie Felson in both movies. And I think that Star Trek Picard season 3 is sort of a combination of Top Gun Maverick and The Color of Money, but in Star Trek, because the characters have all grown and they've changed. And it's funny. I've seen fans, and I think if you're a little older, I think you might appreciate Star Trek Picard more, only because, there's a great scene where one episode Riker at the beginning of the episode, he says, because he's lost a son, you know, his young son Thad died, and he says, you know, we've traveled around the universe, but I've never seen anything convince me that there's something after this, meaning no afterlife. And then over the course of what happens and that's why he ran away from Deanna Troi, because after the death of his son, over the years, he couldn't ever escape his grief. And then at the end of that particular episode, this event happens that instills him with awe and wonder. And he realizes that there is still awe and wonder in the universe. Like his soul had been deadened inside a little bit from a legitimate experience of a parent losing their child, but then being out in the cosmic infinitude, he found what he always knew was there, and that there is awe and wonder in existence and in the universe. And, you know, I thought that was a very poignant, very Star Trekian thing, that only a character who we had seen as a young man who now 30 years on is a different person. And there's a lot of that in Star Trek Picard Season 3. And I think a lot of fans are not recognizing what some of us are seeing in it.
Okay.
So, and it's fine, because people watch things, everybody watches things for different reasons. And I don't expect anybody to like something because I do, but I think that objectively, because I don't believe in the subjectivity of all art. I think there is objectively great things in art and music, and that eventually we'll be able to quantify it, because we'll see how certain things work, like certain music beats. We know that certain music beats affect us, our mental state. So, you know, and music is mathematical. So there is science in certain kinds of music, and that music can have an effect on us literally physiologically. So there is certain, like I would say, guitar riffs. Like pick your favorite rock and roll guitar riff, whatever it is. A classic guitar riff. There's a reason why classic guitar riffs, they're simple and they get right to the heart of the matter. The Rolling Stones' Satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I was thinking Chuck Berry, but Rolling Stone, same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing, and
so actually the same thing. One modeled after the other.
Yeah, and I think that and I think a lot of art, and I think storytelling, we don't have devices yet that can quantify those things, but I think we one day could even measure them using deep learning, AI, and computer technology. We'll be able to figure that out. But I don't think that we don't know it now. But look, you know, whenever you hear like Black Dog, you know, da-na-na-na-na-na, there's something about music, or Beethoven, dun 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 dun. You know, there's and you hear certain drum beats.
Yeah, I think like those like with Beethoven, right? Dun, 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 dun. One overlay over the other off of like simple, like you said, equations, like just does, you know, it electric. I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's a science to it, but as far as emotionally, what it evokes is amazing.
Right.
It's just amazing. You know, I often think about jazz music in modern time, and how in the world that these guys create this, and which was basically 100 years ago, and we owe everything to that time. I mean, I would love to have been a fly on the wall and watch these guys jam during the nighttime, just going from, you know, like your waltzes or even your ragtime to hot jazz. I mean, goddamn.
Oh my God, dude. Well, I mean, you know, I'm a big fan of I love Miles Davis, and
yes,
whether it's the Miles Davis trio or, and if you're a Miles Davis fan, like I started playing the trumpet in the 7th grade because I wanted to be Miles Davis, and I'm like, I'm never going to be him. And I got to see him perform only once. He came to Seattle, and he came to our arts festival bumper shoot. And it was when he did his album Tutu, where he covered Scritti Politti. He covered perfect. Miles Davis covered Scritti Politti a perfect way. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, that would make sense. Why
Um,
not?
but you know, I mean, can you imagine like jazz
Mhm.
musicians, freeform jazz musicians are I mean, they're in touch with the source, and you've got
Yeah.
multiple people playing their different instruments, following and leading, creating syncopation and all that. I mean,
Mhm.
there's something within the human spirit that we as conscious, and now we're getting so esoteric and weird, but
Well,
that we as but we're
go on, please. Go on, please.
well, I mean, there's something to be said for, I mean, if you're alive and you're dealing with consciousness, whatever that is, and we don't know, we can't quantify it. We don't know how it all works. Like we don't know where consciousness comes from. But in being conscious and being aware of this stuff, you know, you're tapped into a greater, there's stuff happening all around us. There's sounds. I mean, we don't even know, for instance,
Mm.
we might be subconsciously hearing, what if you're in a forest? The forest, there's noise happening there. You know, if you delve into fungi and the mycellular network of forests, there's all kinds of stuff going on. This is such a weird thing to be getting into, but there could be beats, literally beats all around us that we're subconsciously hearing, we're not even aware of. So when musicians or people are tapping into that,
Right.
you know, they're tapping into something that is part of the collective subconscious of all of us conscious beings for whatever reason. And I do think art, you know, truly great art also, and great storytelling. You know, there's rules to great storytelling. And when it's like the end of Field of Dreams. Hey, Dad, you want to have a catch? It doesn't matter who you are. If you're in it, you're like, everyone
heart.
cries.
Right to the
Right?
heart.
Right to the heart. And it's funny because you don't even know why. But anybody who is, we all have fathers.
Well,
we all
every
have
son
mothers.
wants that.
Yeah.
Every son wants to play catch with his dad,
Yeah.
or whatever, you know,
Or whatever
soccer,
the equivalent of that is.
whatever it is, go hunting or shooting. What, you know, it's that bonding time.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And we
Yeah.
don't know necessarily.
Let me say
And-
this. Let me add to this. We've actually, and we've been divided so much, and a lot of people have become masters at playing the dark notes
Yeah.
of energy, of great stories. So you can't even decipher what a good story is nowadays, because it's like we're so mired in the darkness. You know, it's kind of like what we've been seeing, you know, from Marvel and from Lucasfilm, uh, or even like what you guys had to put up with Star Trek. And then when something good comes around this past season, you're telling me it sounds like they're hitting the right notes.
Well, yeah, and I think it really comes down to why are you? It's all about the creation. Like some artists can't help it. You know, they're possessed by whatever they're gripped by, whatever that source is, the
Sure.
consciousness. They can't help but create. Like they're compelled to create. I think a lot of musicians are like that. You know, my favorite musician of all time is Prince, and you know,
I was
that
just
guy.
thinking about him with what you said when he covered Led Zeppelin, when he covered Foo Fighters. You're like, yeah, that
Dude, I
makes
mean,
sense. The masters covering other people's other masterful works.
Yeah, and he was the first person to love. You know, if you go back and you look at that, if you look at the induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, while they play "My Guitar Gently Weeps," and at 3 minutes and 22 seconds, Prince steps out and plays, and you know, there's been various people that have various things to say about that particular performance.
A solo, yeah.
That maybe Prince went a little too far, but if you can see George Harrison's son is playing and watching, he basically steps back, and Prince, you know, that guy was possessed by the source, whatever that is. Call it what you want. Like if you are a Point Break fan, you know, they surfing, yeah, it's the source, man. That kid in the surf shop, it's the source. While my guitar gently weeps, that's what it is.
Thank you, David.
It's, yeah.
George Harrison, and George Harrison's son was there. Tom
Yeah.
Petty.
And when you see Tom Petty, and when you see, did I say a different song?
It doesn't matter. We know what you mean.
Yeah, but when you see that, when he starts playing it, you can see Prince is like, again, possessed of whatever it was, and he played all the instruments, and And I think I saw Prince like 30 times live.
I've seen him a few times.
It was never the same. You know,
He's a showman, and I think that's like what kind of pissed people off that he did a showman an antic at the end of his guitar solo, but it makes sense. He threw the guitar away.
But when he threw the guitar away, it never came down. He just threw it up in the air. Where did it go? And that's why I the most expensive action figure I own is my 6-scale Prince, Purple Rain Prince. I know that a company's coming out with a Prince, but this was custom, 1 of 30. Had to have it.
I'm still trying to track down my old school record collection, and I had all those purple vinyls.
Well, the 12 inches, like Purple Rain on purple vinyl.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, when that movie came out, I was collecting each and every single release when we still had single being released, on everything. I had every one. I had every size, 45.
Oh, yeah. And Aaron Taylor in chat says Prince's Super Bowl performance. And it's like, yeah, man, who only Prince could get it to rain, torrentially downpour while he played Purple Rain at the Super Bowl.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's up there. Probably him, and for me, him and Whitney Houston, the best performances ever.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't really paid attention the last couple of years. I can't even remember who did the last couple of years. Oh, the LA one was the rappers. That was okay. That was okay.
Right.
We have a couple of super chats, and maybe we'll get to our first segment. But I'm having such a good time talking about the mathematical musical equations of the universe with Robert Meter Burnett. I hope everyone here is doing the same thing, having a wonderful time. Make sure you say hello. Make sure you are subscribed to Robert Meter Burnett and the Burnett Work. Thank you guys for being here. Filmmaker Alejandro Montoya Marin for $4.99. Saludos. Great show, Paulie. Saludos, Robert. Big fan.
Thank you, sir. By the way, what a cool name. Alejandro Montoya Marin.
I mean, and that's a great name. He looks and sounds like a younger Guillermo del Toro because he's got that cool voice.
Yeah.
You know? Very talented.
Man, do I love Guillermo del Toro.
Woo. Pinocchio, bro. So, I mean, that's a separate stream.
Yeah.
And Jonas J. Campbell comes in for $5. I did several videos on my channel for Picard Season 1, anticipating Season 3 would stink. Picard 3 is the most enjoyable TV I've watched in a long time. Love it.
And you know what's crazy is it just keeps... I've tried to explain to people, like I was a huge Tom Clancy. I'm still a huge Tom Clancy fan. I read his books, like I read Hunt for Red October and Red Storm Rising when they first came out. And I loved his brand of meticulously detailed techno thriller. And you go back and you watch, and this season of Picard is so, it's so influenced by Hunt for Red October and Crimson Tide. And they don't even deny it. And what I love about it is it is a Tom Clancy techno thriller by way of Star Trek, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but it also has that nautical Star Trek feel, and what it's all about ultimately is rediscovering, as Vin Diesel would say, family. Meanwhile, it's the Hall of Family. That's what it's all about.
God, that's great. Thank you, John. Whenever I see that name, because I knew a Jonas growing up, I just say Jonas. So gracias, Jonas. The Gilk Man comes in for $9.99. Wow, thank you, brother. Much love to you both. Hope to meet both of you one day. Thank you for having Robert Meter Burnett. Love his takes and yours too. Thank you for bringing positivity in the community. It's such a thank you, Tom, the Gilk Man. It's so weird when you're positive or you actually like something that people get on you. I mean, what's wrong with people nowadays?
Well, it's funny. I mean,
you have to like it. I just said I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, like when you and I watched The Matrix Resurrections, like I didn't. It was really interesting because I've seen a lot of interesting takes about Matrix Resurrections later, And look,
Yeah.
is that movie Matrix 1? Not at all. It's a totally different kind of a film, but in a way, it's kind of like what Star Trek Picard was doing. It's a different kind of a movie. You know, Lana Wachowski, she approached it differently than the original. And I thought you and I really liked it because it was really intriguing. When I was watching it, the movie was very interesting to me. I was really engrossed by the story it was telling, but I didn't go in with any preconceived notions. I'm like, I wonder what this movie's going to be. You
I
know,
think
and
the only thing I thought was it's please let it be better than Reloaded and Revolutions. And but I had a winner.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, well, I think, here's the thing. When we were growing up, like the summer of 1982, which is the greatest summer for movies ever in terms of genre, science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Because from May to July,
Yeah.
we got Conan, the American release of The Road Warrior, Star Trek II, Poltergeist, E.T., The Thing, and Blade Runner opened on the same day, and Tron came out.
Wow.
All within
When was,
basically a 6-week period of time.
82, summer of 82.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even
And I
other
was so-
movies like Rocky 3 came
Right.
out.
And I was so upset that Gandhi had won Best Picture over E.T. that year.
Yeah. Well, yes, but you know what? If you go backwards, I mean, look, Annie Hall won Best Picture over Star Wars. I mean, I love Woody Allen, I love Annie Hall, but man,
Same.
that for me, Star Wars changed the world. And what is it? But I get it. I mean, I love Annie Hall, and at the time, what people want from movies.
Right.
What's really interesting is if it were today, if it were Annie Hall versus Star Wars would have won. Star Wars would have been the everything everywhere all at once.
Right. That's a great point. The year before was Rocky had won.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
I mean, that was everything.
And the year before that was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
Was
Nest.
Jaws nominated the year before?
Yeah, Jaws lost to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I mean, that's not bad. That's
No,
I mean,
no,
look,
absolutely
look at these movies that we're talking about. I recently was watching the Academy Awards intros, or like they would do the best.
Isn't it great that they put like the old Academy stuff you can see from like 1967?
Right.
And
I was like,
so
oh my
great.
God, look at the competition. Look at all these amazing films I still watch.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, I think that our culture has the problem is that the commodification of everything. It used to be that movies were a collision of commerce and art. Now that's just commerce. The studios don't even make any art films. I mean, when you say art films, all the big movies. I made a point of saying on the John Campea show a couple months back that all of the movies that used to come out, like Gandhi made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Amadeus, which won Best Picture, was a big hit.
Well, we went back to that these were adult for that because adults were going to the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, movies are no longer cultural forces. They're entertainment forces, but they don't resonate culturally because culture changes all the time. And even music. I mean, we're not. I read a review in the Atlantic about Taylor Swift's new show. And for a generation of girls, Taylor Swift is like a prophet. And apparently this new show is incredible. There's magic. Part of it's literally like they do magic tricks or whatever. And the funny thing about Taylor Swift, and here she talks about broken relationships, the difference where I was going is her music's fine, but it's all about her. It's the cult of Taylor Swift. Like before, if a band would play, Robert Plant was an amazing frontman, but Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page, the magic of the music, or Jim Morrison was the Lizard King, but at the end of the day, it was Break On Through, or it was Light My Fire, or it was The End, or whatever your whatever your Moonlight Drive, whatever your favorite Doors song was. Ultimately, it was the music. But with Taylor Swift herself is more potent, I think, than her music. Her music is part of her mystique, but she's got a whole other thing happening. And it was interesting to read her show because everybody read about her show because I think it's things are just different now. Pop culture works differently. It used to unify us in ways that are different. Like, everybody, what was the song that you made out with to the first girl you ever kissed? That music became, and when you watch movies like Dazed and Confused, Richard Linklater's Dazed and Confused, it was the last day of school in 1976. All those the music tracks that I mean, I remember those because I was little enough to remember. You remember all that shit. And James Gunn has done a great job using music even in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
And tracking it with that. And that music doesn't necessarily, it means nothing to anybody but Peter Quill, and it's all about his mom. But, for we, the audience, hearing that stuff, because it's from a very specific time, it's pretty interesting.
Well, it is interesting too. I mean, just using that example because there's a very strong emotional connection for Quill.
Yeah.
And and it goes back to that Field of Dreams at the end.
Yeah.
You want to play cat, Yeah, that's good stuff.
I think our society's we've lost the emotional component. It's more about social and style than it is about true emotion. And I think that's kind of been bled out of our pop culture. And
I think that one of the emotions that continues to dominate is, anger.
You know what? Anger, but it's also like even activism. People want to feel some kind of something emotional, and like you said, anger. What's interesting? No one listened to the Jedi. Yoda said, "Anger leads. It's quick and easy, more seductive." We've been seduced by the dark side of the Force. We didn't listen to Yoda in the prequel trilogy.
Anger leads to suffering, whatever the equation is.
Yeah, and now, because the thing is, people don't have enough emotion in their lives in other places, so they're looking outward. They want to find things that they can be outraged about because it lets them feel something. Because, we would go get things. In order to feel, you have to take a risk. You have to go get, and when it comes down to I keep thinking about one of my favorite movies is Almost Famous. And Penny Lane has a speech where she says, listen, when you're feeling down, you go to the record store, and you find your friends. You're looking through the stacks and find your friends. We used to have to go outward. Now everything's coming to us. Social media, phones, it's all coming to us. So there's no effort. So, you're not now, outrage gets you see something online, you immediately get angry, and then, oh my God, I feel something. And there's a bunch of other people that are angry. So I can join this, and they're gonna invite me into their anger, and they're gonna, hey, you want to become part of our community? Come on in, and let's be all angry together. But it's easy because you haven't had to work for it. It's just come to you. I mean, I'd get on a bus and take 3 buses to go to a comic book store to get my weekly supply of comics. So my comics, it was like, I can't wait to delve into these. It's like I had to take a journey to get these comics.
They were treasures, yeah.
They were treasures, man. I had to go, and I'd bring them back and bag and board them, and think about them.
I think that's why I love going to the movie theater so much.
Yeah,
because everyone
you had to
I can
go
watch
out
it from the comfort of my house now. I'm like, no, that's not the point. That's not the ritual. Go and you get some popcorn. You get to your seat. Do you watch trailers or not? Do you react? Are you loud? How is the energy with the room?
Well, it's ritualistic.
It really dictates your time if you're going to have a good time or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. This has been a great talk. We have some wonderful people. S. Reina I had to bring it up, Rob. You're the only reason I watched the JC show.
Well, if you look at John Campy, he's been doing this for a long time. He started his movie blog and then came to Collider and I've been streaming. The first time I ever streamed on YouTube was with the late great John Schnepp, rest in peace, and John Campia on Collider Heroes episode 6 in April. Next month, I will have been on YouTube for 8 years.
Wow.
Which is crazy to me. I didn't start my own channel. Elizabeth bought me this Yeti microphone in 2018. I mean, one day I'm going to turn on these Shure microphones. But it's like, I know I've got 2 of them here so we can do, let's get physical. Or let's get pardon me, whining about movies.
Right, the wind
And
down.
I've got a soundboard and a mixing board and everything. And I just haven't turned them on. But yeah, I mean, John and I we're very different kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sort of been a lifer because I've worked in the industry, and I started working in a video store. But there were no video stores back when I started working in video stores, and they were then I went from home video. Well, it's still home video, but I went in 1986. I transferred over to laser discs, and then I was in home video from 80 to 88, and then I went to college. I moved away from Seattle and moved to California.
We're having a great talk hanging out with Robert Meter Burnett. I want to thank all you guys for being here. And yeah, I think we're ready. Let's hit a fun segment, guys. I know we've been having a lot of fantastic people, but before we do that, it's been a minute. I still haven't played a thank you video to all the super chats. These videos are for you. Enjoy.
Como cuando tu esposa te dice, lava los trastes. No voy a lavar ni madre. Nada voy a lavar. Eso no es cosa de hombres, es cosa de viejas. Yo no voy a lavar nada. Lávalos tú. Nada, un TikTok. Un TikTok que está ahorita.
¿De qué? Okay.
No, ya lo voy a borrar porque nada, está bien chafa, ni me gustó. Sí, no, déjamelo. Sí, de hecho, estaba poniendo música para ponerme a lavarlo, ¿sabes? Okay. ¿No sabes dónde está la esponja?
All right, back here on the Latino Slant. My name is Paulie. I want to thank everyone for being here, all the new people coming around, just showing love to Robert Meter Burnett. Let's bring him back in.
Dude, that Grogu video is hysterical.
Oh, I got more There's a whole Spanish channel dedicated to baby Yoda. I mean, it is insane.
I mean, that was. I love when people take. I think it began. There's an Academy Award winning short film. Wallace and Gromit, the Wallace and Gromit movies about the dog and the old man. Mm-hmm. Have you seen those? They're claymation features. Well, those guys, the first thing they ever made was a 5-minute short, and they turned it into a series, but it started out as a short called Creature Comforts. And they went to the zoo, and they went to an old folks home, and they interviewed people. They interviewed people at the zoo, and then they interviewed people at the old folks home, and then they animated animals doing the interviews that they'd done. Like there was one guy, I guess he's in Peru, talking about, I live in this place, it's very cold, and where I came from, it was a tropical island, it was warm, and it was, but he's a lion in the animated show. He's a lion, and he's kind of chilling out, and they're in the UK, and he's chilling out in this zoo. The animals are all in the zoo, and he's chilling out, and he's like, this is a very cold country, and I want to be warm again. And, takes me somewhere else, and I name it, then I'll go. And it's totally awesome. And seeing that growth, because I'm sure that's an actual real, somebody was making this video, and but then they added Grogu over the top of and it reminded me of Creature Comforts.
Okay,
it's so good.
Here we go. We want to challenge you to talk like a Latino parent would. And this is our segment here where Latino Parents Say ... So what I need to do is I feel I need to just give you a refresher on just how a Latino parent tries to tackle English, and then you can create your own accent when I throw up images. How's that sound?
Okay, I'm in. Watch, someone's only going to clip out me, and they're going to call Rob Burnett mocks the Latino, the Mexican population.
Okay,
the cartels are going to come for me.
Yeah, here's your tutorial. Here you go.
Social. Security.
Social Security.
Social Security.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right, my dude. All right.
I'm in trouble now.
I got you now, boy. And you know what? You're not the first or the last. Okay, so when we go shopping, we go to the alley and to get the kind of the discount on the brands. Here are some name brands I want you to do in your best Latino parent
Okay.
and try to pronounce for us. These are ripoff brands, mind you. Here's your first one.
Fushi. Fushi. It's a fushi, right? You know, a fushi. That's what you want.
Okay. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. All right. You ready for your next one?
Oh, God.
Here you go.
Nike Air. It's Nike Air. You wear the it's like the shoot Nike Air. Yeah, it's a good thing. I like the leather is good. I like the swoosh. It looks good. Nike Air. Since 2017. Yeah, Nike.
Ooh.
Nick. No, it's Nick. Nick Air. That's what it is. Nick Air.
You already did it. You already did.
It should have been Nick. R-A-E. Nick Air.
This one's let's see if you figured this one out.
Fuma. I smoke the fumas, yeah. I like that. I roll it myself. Fuma, it's a good, I like that tobacco. Fuma.
Brilliant. Enjoying yourself, RMB.
It's fun.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. That's
I'm
what
a
we're doing
ham.
here.
I could be...
Fuck it. I got one more for you.
Uh-oh.
One more for you. Here you
You're
go.
laughing. I hope I'm doing something
yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah. One more for you.
You're Don. You're Don, like your cousin running away from Border Patrol. You're Don. I like the with the shoes and yeah, it's good. I wear them, but I shouldn't really be speaking English. I say you're Don. You're Dan. I know Dan. You're Dan. You dated that guy when you were a kid. You're Dan, right? You're a friend.
All right. Okay, so Robert Meter Burnett to the Latino Parents accent.
Don't cancel me.
That was amazing. Now what I want to do is I want to bring up the video that we grabbed this from, and so you can see how this youngster
How I did.
handled it. So this kid has like a huge, of course, Instagram page,
Yeah.
and here we go.
No te pases de lanza. Fuma.
That was pretty good.
You did. You know what? I think your Fuma was the best one.
That was pretty good.
I think. I think your Fuma was on it. Was on point. All right, here we go.
No mames. Jordan.
Yeah, I was leaning into the Dan part. You're Dan.
Yeah, I think
Jordan.
the J. You were hitting that J way too hard.
Yeah.
You were hitting that J way too hard. But hey, I appreciate. And I love how the Jordan here, the logo is running away.
Yeah. From the Border Patrol.
Hey, you said it. I did it.
¿Qué es eso, güey? No te pases de ver. Fuchi.
Fuchi,
Fuji.
not Gucci. Fuchi.
Fuji.
Fuchi.
No mames. Nike.
Yeah, the eek. It should have been.
Yeah.
Nike.
Nike.
A-A-E.
Yeah, because Nikes maybe might be a little too hard,
Yeah.
for the first timers. Brilliant.
Ala, pero te pasas de Adidas.
Oh, we didn't do that one.
No.
We did.
Adidas.
Adidas.
I would have done it that way. Adidas.
Adidas. There you have it, guys.
Adidas. That's good.
That was good. That was good. It's always good to have a little fun, guys. It's always good to have a little
Indeed.
fun. Okay, so I hope everyone's having a good time. Make sure you've shared the link. We're still hanging out. We haven't gotten to Blood In, Blood Out yet.
Oh, but we will.
We will. We have some cool people hanging out in the chat. Also sharing the link. Tom Conkle, Chris Gore, Jonas Campbell. Really cool people with
I need Tom Conkle to help me, by the way.
What happened?
So Tom Conkle has done a lot of, he's a great filmmaker, and I want to know if he can help me. So I did an interview with Paco Delgado, who's a costume designer of John Wick 4.
Oh.
And he's from the Canary Islands, actually. And there's a crackle on during the entire interview, and I have tried to take that crackle out.
God, that's the worst.
It's the worst, and it's terrible. It was a function of using OBS to bring in. I'm just wondering if Tom Conkle can help me get rid of that crackle. I don't know how to do it. I've tried.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
I don't know either. I'm sure, even if have you asked your Burnett work people?
Yeah.
Someone's gotta know.
Some people have tried, and because it's built into the recording, it's hard. Like, I don't know how to do it. Yeah. And it's a great interview.
Well, I said we would talk about you talk about dark tones. Let's talk about just your kind of overall thoughts on what's going on with Star Wars and Lucasfilm, the Mandalorian. We're on the eve of the fourth episode being dropped. Going to be directed by Carl Weathers. I saw your take on the last episode. I'm really in line with that. Then there's news that maybe this show's going away, that person's gonna go away. You just never know until it's done, right? What's your overall? What are your thoughts?
Well, okay. I mean, Star Wars changed my life. Seeing the original Star Wars, the opening weekend, 1970. I saw it the Sunday. I believe it opened on a Wednesday, and I saw it on the Sunday. And it was, I've told people, seeing Star Wars in a theater, it's hard to explain to people what the world was like before Star Wars existed. And because there was nothing remotely similar to Star Wars. There was things that Kurosawa's influence, Jimbo, Sanjuro, Seven Samurai, whatever. There was influences, but it had never been put together in the way that Star Wars had been put together. And the fact that it created, they went to real locations, and they went to Tunisia to shoot Tatooine, and the reality of it all. Never had a science fiction movie had this kind of, especially in space. Right. And, I mean, people talk about the opening shot with the blockade runner, the Tantive V4 going, and then the Star Destroyer, and all. It was amazing. And sitting in a theater with a bunch of people, I'll tell you what, the first thing I'll never forget was the sound. The Star Wars themes, the word Star Wars comes on and goes into the distance. And when that first crawl rolled up, I mean, that crawl was right out of Flash Gordon serials of the 40s or whatever, but it had never been done in the modern age. It had never been done with this grandiose music, this classical music. And the thing that I remember is every single person in the theater was reading that aloud to themselves, not even knowing they were doing it. And so it was, imagine a theater full of this. It was everybody reading the crawl. It is a period of civil war. Rebel spaceships striking from a hidden base and won their first victory over the evil Galactic Empire, whatever. And you're hearing this, and people from that opening music and seeing the title Star Wars, and then what was really interesting is the camera pans down, and before that, all science fiction movies, even 2001, showed the Earth as a sphere. You know, and when you pan down past the moons of Tatooine, you see the horizon line, you see the planet fill the screen. And what it was doing was it was playing with our perceptions of how we saw space. How was space presented to us? And we'd have the Apollo missions, and we'd seen Earth, the moon, the Earth from the moon, and all that. And it really got into that idea, that shot of Earth from the moon. So when you pan down, it looked like you were over a landscape, and indeed you were. And then you have the screaming. It's all one shot. You know, it pans down, screams into frame. And it isn't until the first cut in the movie, I believe, is when you cut to the reverse of the blockade runner coming toward you, and the Star Destroyer looming behind you, and it's amazing. Well,
Right. Then instantly you got size.
yeah, it was incredible.
That ship
And
being chased by the bigger ship, and then behind it, not only space but a planet.
Yeah, it was all incredible, and then everything that this crawl told you in the first 5 minutes, you are oriented to all of that. You meet R2 and 3PO, who were right out of Kurosawa's The Hidden Fortress, and you learn all of this stuff. The world building happens so fast and furious in the beginning of that. You meet Princess Leia. You understand she's got the stolen plan. She's sticking into R2-D2. You are completely oriented into this fictional world by the opening 3-paragraph crawl and then the first 5 minutes of the movie. You're like, holy shit, you've never seen anything like this, and we're off to the races. And then, of course, we all know the story. Classic Joseph Campbell hero journey. We meet everybody. But here's the thing that I think is the great success of Star Wars that people have forgotten, especially in the modern age. Luke is a farmer, Han is a truck driver, and Ben Kenobi is a veteran of a foreign war. You know, he's kind of like the crazy dude that, and they're normal people. They're normal people that find themselves, they stumble into extraordinary experiences. And I think that the key to, and these three misfits and their robots, which are basically peasants, they take off on this insane adventure that they don't question. You know, they're off on a damn fool crusade to rescue this princess, and they kind of stumble using their wits into success. And I think that was the appeal of Star Wars, is that we are all of us are Luke Skywalker. You know, everybody, all of us are just normal people. The sun is setting. We're wondering, do I have a future? What's going to go? You know, I'm stuck here at home. Yep. You know, and everyone's thought about that. And ever since then, I think what Star Wars, and then you watch, of course, with Empire Strikes Back, it's plot and story, it's dire. And then, of course, you have the redemption of Darth Vader. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Return of the Jedi. I love Star Wars and Empire. I think Return of the Jedi is where Star Wars started to lose its way. Because it suddenly made Luke extraordinary. You know, and I understand we all have to step up, and it's the hero's journey, and I get all of that. But the problem is, for me, is that what made Star Wars great was it was these ordinary people stepping up to do extraordinary things. And when you have ordinary people becoming extraordinary, well, of course they're going to do those things. And even the hero's journey, I thought that, so with the prequel trilogy, everybody you meet's extraordinary. We're all Jedis, you know, this Jedi Council. All we're dealing with is now we're with the elites. You know, now we're dealing the idea
A more elegant age.
Yeah, but you're
civilized age.
Yeah, more civilized age. You're not meeting ordinary people anymore. Star Wars is full of extraordinary people, and that's all it's ever been. So it's lost its charm, I think. And you know, when you're looking at the Mandalorian is let's face it, it was the Boba Fett TV series. But for whatever reason, they didn't want to make the Boba Fett TV series. It was going to be a movie or whatever. And the thing is, I have always thought the Mandalorian was, and this will be unpopular, the most basic, dumbed down, threadbare Western knockoff ever. And everything is like, when I was watching the third episode of Mandalorian, I'm like, okay, this whole idea about you can't keep your helmet on. All right.
Mm.
Well, how do you eat? When I'm seeing the Mandalorian, like, look, I understand why can't it be like when you're in the presence of another sentient being, you have to have you can't take off your helmet. But when you're alone, you should be able to. Hello, hygiene issues alone. Let me wash my hair. Let me be able to eat.
Wash my face,
Yeah, wash my face. So when I
blow
watch,
my nose, ears, all that stuff.
yeah, and when you watch the Mandalorian, like when he goes into the waters, underneath the mines of Mandalore, the guy's wearing armor. Like, I mean, come on. How do you become buoyant when you're wearing armor? It's going to every movie you've ever seen somebody
Okay.
get rid of a dead body.
All right. Yeah.
So
I'm going to stop you. I'm going to
Yeah.
stop you. Okay. I'm going to do two things. I'm going to bring in a friend of mine. I don't know if you guys have streamed together. He's on Film Threat. He's got his own channel. And then I'm going to give you my take.
Yeah.
My quick take on what you've said. And then I want all three of us to continue this conversation because I think you're saying something on point. And let's bring in our brother Dante. Verbal,
Hey,
right?
how's it going, man?
Oh, I've seen you stream before. I love you, man.
I always get nervous when people say they've seen me before. I'm like,
It's your
good
fault.
or
No, in my case, it's always good.
bad? Cool.
So I'm gonna make it real simple. Like I'm with you, RMB. And I think the main problem is that Star Wars does not belong on television. And I try to buy into it. I try to be positive about each show. I was the cheerleader. I was believing in Rodriguez. There's no way Rodriguez, if you let Rodriguez do a film of Boba Fett, that just would have been killer. But maybe that committee and that Lucasfilm wouldn't have let him do that.
Well, it's funny because El Mariachi, if you follow the story of, or you follow Desperado especially, Desperado is basically about the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And then
That's why I thought it was
you get
such
the
a
other
no-brainer.
you call the other Mandalorians to be like, hey, you can help me out here, and they have that great
Right.
battle at the end.
That's why, and even when Rodriguez directed that one, that was probably one of the best episodes of Mando in that season 2 season.
Yeah, I agree.
Was Rodriguez's, and I was like, yes, he's gonna save Star Wars and Boba Fett, yes. But it goes back to what you were saying, that I just don't think Star Wars belongs in I think they've ruined Star Wars by so many television shows, and they're bad television.
I wouldn't say that Star Wars.
Dante, go ahead, and I'll be right back.
Oh yeah. I just want to chime in on this. I don't believe Star Wars wasn't meant to be on TV. I just think that it's meant to be better written.
I agree with you 100%.
Well, I think there's a lot of Star Wars stories you can tell.
Yep.
That are fitted for TV, more fitted for TV than the theater. Actually,
Totally agree.
If they actually, I gotta watch my language. If they actually cared about the material, we wouldn't be complaining. There wouldn't be an issue.
If it was, I mean, I would say I think people care. It's just they don't know how to make it good.
But do you really think the people at Disney cares about the source material?
No. I think they care in the sense that they bought this source material. Here's what drives me bonkers. So, and I don't understand this at all. These larger IPs like Star Wars and Star Trek to a certain extent, before they bought Star Wars, when they brought back Star Wars in the early 90s, because it had sort of lain fallow, they had the Timothy Zahn book trilogy. They had Heir to the Empire, and then they also had the Dark Horse Comics Dark Empire 6-issue. Both of those
which I loved.
They're great. Both of them are really great. I mean, the Grand Admiral Thrawn was introduced in the Heir to the Empire books. Those were great books. They were also made by people that loved Star Wars, that sat down and said, okay, what would the Star Wars universe be like 20, 30 years after Return of the Jedi? And because they love Star Wars, they sat down and really thought about it. Like, let's extrapolate out. And the same is true of a lot of the great Star Trek novels and things that they've written. You can't make a lot of money writing a tie-in novel. So
Right.
you have to love it. You have to love it. And there was a lot of after Heir to the Empire in the 80s. There was not very much Star Wars original fiction. There was the Han Solo trilogy, Han Solo at Star's End, and then there was the Lando Calrissian trilogy, Lando Calrissian and the Mind Harp of Sharu, or the Flame Wind of Lando Calrissian and the Flame Wind of Ocean. So they had those 6 books, and then there was
Right.
Splinter of the Mind's Eye. But after that, there wasn't much, because then after Jedi, Star Wars sort of petered out in popularity.
Well, yeah, because after Jedi, the only thing left
over.
was merchandise.
Yeah, exactly.
We had nothing for a very long time.
Yep.
When it came to Star Wars.
And then there was a conscious effort to bring Star Wars back as a brand in the 90s through those books. And then you had the Shadows of the Empire multimedia thing. All they didn't have was a movie.
Right.
They had the video game, they had the comics, they had the novel, toys, all that stuff. But nowadays, a studio spends $4.5 billion, whatever, buying this IP. And they sit down, and the studio itself is like, okay, we need this IP to do for our company the most it can do, which means we have all the elements that made Star Wars popular. And when you see something like Force Awakens being such a copy of A New Hope, you realize that the company that bought it, because they've spent so much money, they are immediately risk averse. So I think that companies that buy IPs have immediately corrupted those IPs because they can no longer be true to the base stories that they're trying to tell. Because now they have to serve the needs of an IP and the needs of a corporation. And if your story has to serve the needs of a corporation, you can't be true to the story you're telling anymore. You have to be true to your customers.
Look, and I understand that, and it's reasonable, right? Like, I mean, if you're a studio, you need something that's going to hit. You need something that's going to make your studio, because you have a lot of employees you have to pay.
Yep.
A lot of money. I get that. What bugs me is the excuse of, or it's just a trade-off. Do we really have to trade off quality? I'm not even, look, we all know no studio is going to stick 100% to the source material. They're just not.
Right.
I say the only one that came close was probably Sin City and Watchmen.
Yeah, I mean, but that was interesting in the sense that you had two visionaries. You had Robert Rodriguez, who wanted to do Sin City,
right,
and then you had Zack Snyder, who wanted to do, and Watchmen they've been trying to do for years. Sam Hamm had written a draft, and they couldn't crack it. But you had a filmmaker that was really, like, I think Watchmen is a great recreation, but it's not a very good adaptation.
Oh, I totally agree with that. Completely.
Watchmen's one of my favorite things in the world. And but it's respectful. You have to respect. You can see that Zack Snyder loved what he was doing.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. There doesn't have to be the trade-off of, the studio needs to make money, so we got to sacrifice quality. There could be the happy medium. The problem is writers.
Yep. Well, that's the thing, and also the studio's like, okay, we're gonna put why is young Princess Leia in the Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Oof.
Like why they're shoehorning. The whole thing is, here's what I don't get. Here's what I don't understand. The character of Obi-Wan Kenobi, having lived through Order 66 and seen his order, I mean, Kenobi was a believer. Kenobi was essentially, call him a religious man, and he watched his religious order destroyed in a purge from heathens, essentially.
Hokey religions are nowhere, was it?
Yeah, and what does the story of his redemption, or him finding himself again, should have been all about him.
Yes.
Like his internal conflict. And I was hoping, like with The Mandalorian, the first episode of the 3rd season was called The Apostate. And I'm like, they're treating, like, it's really interesting. Like the Mandalorians are people of faith.
Right.
And
well,
like,
some of them, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but they're divided. Their orders divided. It's like, I'm Jewish. There's Reform Jews. There's Orthodox Jews. There's people that don't. I am not a religious person myself, but I've always been fascinated by religious people, and I love the idea of religion and how it can organize societies and also tear them apart. But I figured that we were going to get something. I feel like I'm watching the 4th grade version of all this. Like the Mandalorian is so dumbed down, And the title of that episode, The Apostate, I don't think anybody watching that show knows what an apostate is. And they call it that. And I think and that's what pissed me off. I mean, it would have been really interesting. I just don't. Here's the thing. Ultimately, I don't believe the Star Wars I'm watching. I think the stories are falsely created. They're created and they have to be vetted by a corporation that wants, well, we have to have a young Princess Leia in it because we have to have young girls. We have to give them something. And this kind of thinking is wrong. These IPs became popular because they were in the first place because they were true to the stories that they were telling. You know, and we talked about the fact people can recognize a great story. And you know, when I was a kid, I didn't have to watch stories where I was reflected in them. As a matter of fact, I'd rather watch stories about people I didn't know.
I completely agree with that. It goes with the same argument as race swapping, right? Or gender swapping or whatever you want to call it. Look, I've been saying and I've been screaming this at the top of my lungs for the past, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now. Black people don't want to see a black Batman. We don't want to see a black Superman. We want to see an original black character that we can get behind that isn't a hand-me-down, right? And these studios, it's funny, and I get it. You know, if you're a studio, you have an IP that you have to use, but, you know, you also got to fill some quotas. You know, there you go, right? Win-win for the studio, right? But I think a lot of people, and we're starting to see it a lot now, people are starting to turn, man, and they're not showing up anymore for not only the theater, but these TV shows. They're not showing up because they're tired of being fed, you know, forgive my language, this bullshit.
Well, it's false storytelling. I heard a very high-ranking person in Hollywood tell me, and I love this term. I'd never heard it before or since. This one person called it fraudulent creation.
Oof.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love that. I love that term because,
wow,
you know, the writers of the days of yore, like some of the, to me, if you want to be a writer in Hollywood, you've got to start the Twilight Zone. To me, is one of the master classes of knowing how to write a story in the sense that you had.
Oh, I totally agree. Absolutely.
You know, the original Twilight Zone, you know, those 157 episodes. They're not all great, but within a half an hour. I mean, I know the 4th season's an hour. But for the 4 seasons that were half-hour episodes, you set up a character or characters, a situation, a premise, whatever, and you tell this story that plays out with a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's so well done. And it's so well... And the people that were writing Twilight Zone episodes were also novelists. They were short story writers. They were playwrights. They worked in many different mediums. They were professional storytellers. And nowadays, I think that the quality, people haven't put in the work. They're not, storytellers should be literary people. Well, you know, they need to have read. They need to have backgrounds.
Okay. I don't want to push back on that. I want to question that because, and whether it's the right fit or not, right? Marvel and Lucasfilm, they get these directors that are Academy Award winners telling great stories of their indie films. I mean, I looked up who the last director of last week's episode, which, you know, my review was I reenacted me falling asleep to it. I don't know if you've seen my review. It's stunning and brave, but I fell asleep twice. I shit you not. The next day, I needed a nap. I put the episode back on, and
wow, yikes, man.
Now, even though that's funny and that's entertaining, right? I usually, you know, I give things I'm very open and positive as far as being, you know, entertaining. This director did Minari a couple of years ago, which was this fantastic drama, you know. So obviously these people can tell stories,
but they didn't write the story.
So is that it, Rob? Is that it?
Well, okay. Here's the thing. And I can't prove it 100%, but I've heard inklings out there of there are people actually writing good shit. And what happens is when they turn it in, the studios are like basically picking it apart, saying we can't sell this, we can't sell this, we can't sell this, we can't sell this. Yeah. So they throw it back at them. right? Until it's just this garbage that we end up consuming, right? So I don't want to say all writers in Hollywood are full of shit, but I do think there is a good percent of Hollywood, at least when it comes to writers, that these studios are literally not hiring writers; they're hiring activists
Yeah,
to put out this garbage for us to consume.
I think you're absolutely right. And you know what's really interesting. I mean, you were talking about when I was a kid. I grew up in Seattle. I loved movies about grungy 1970s New York because it was like an alien planet. It was so different from my experience in Seattle, and that's why when I grew up, I loved blaxploitation movies. I love like Shaft. I love Slaughter. I love Slaughter. I love like, and I thought Pam Grier was one of the most beautiful women, in the world. And I still do, actually. She still is now.
Dude.
And I was a huge fan of those films. And I also loved New York cop movies like Serpico.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And all the grungy. And that's why I also loved like The Godfather. Even when I first saw it, I saw that later. But again, a world I didn't know. And those movies, and later I saw in the home video era, I didn't know who Rudy Ray Moore was until I got to see the first time I even knew who Dolomite was. I had there was a trailer tape that came out. It was called The Best of Sex and Violence, and it was hosted by I want to say Keith Carradine, the Carradines, and the brothers, and they had trailers for The Human Tornado and Dolomite. and it was a bunch of other trailers. It was all these exploit, like the Doberman Gang and the Twilight people, and
loved all those.
Yeah, it was all total exploitation, and it was, and the thing I remember from I think it was The Human Tornado. He had a dong as big as King Kong. He was the Human Tornado. I'm like, I gotta see that shit, and it was, but those, and like you were talking about earlier, like black people don't want to see race swapping. And what was really interesting was that was a genre of film. You had a lot of black filmmakers, like Rudy Ray Moore, getting his own money, financing his own pictures, getting them released. There was a lot of people like Black Caesar was directed by the guy who directed It's Alive, Larry Cohen. So there was New York Jews making blaxploitation movies too. But
absolutely. I mean,
nice.
But you got what was really interesting is like, and nowadays, I mean, like I miss the days. I remember seeing. I worked at Warner Brothers, and early in my career, and I got to meet Mario Van Peebles. And the first thing I said to him was, I said, "Dude, you direct." This was after he had made New Jack City,
right?
But he directed an episode of Wise Guy. And when he was I ran into him it was great because when people were in the building that I could recognize, and I talked to him and I'm like, your dad made Sweetback's badass song, and he was, first of all, nicest guy in the world. And then he went on and he made Posse, after that.
That was all right.
And it wasn't great, but it was still it was a good
It was
effort.
entertaining.
It was entertaining. I won't call it a bad movie. Well, it was a bad movie.
Compared to now, it's really good entertainment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nowadays, I gotta say, I'll watch, even if things aren't great, I'll watch anything Anton Fuqua makes. I really will. But I think that Blackula, William Marshall, who was also Dr. Richard Daystrom in The Ultimate Computer, second season episode of the original Star Trek, I loved William Marshall. But nowadays, like you said, activism. I mean, why isn't DC delving into the Milestone universe? With what Dwayne McDuffie and Dennis Cowan and all these great creators. The Milestone universe has, they've done.
I brought that up so many times, by the way. And it's funny because it's almost like they brought it out for like a year and then just buried it.
Yeah, I mean, Static Shock, they've done this. Static, that character of Static's in the comics, and Static Shock they added, but that's the Miles Morales of the DC universe.
Oh, easily.
And it's already there. And DC they treated the Milestone creators and the Milestone universe horribly. But where's Icon? You don't need a black Superman. You've got Icon.
Exactly.
He's right there.
And you're right. Where is he?
And he was already created by, like, Dwayne McDuffie, who was married to my friend Charlotte Fullerton, who I went to school with. Dwayne McDuffie was one of the great writers
Yeah, he
of
was.
of animation, of comic books,
Yeah.
and he
Okay.
passed away way too early. Why not honor him and go out and actually find a black creator created series and go make that? Why is
everything you
J.J.
guys are
Abrams
talking
making a
about-
black Superman movie? Why?
Everything you guys are talking about, right? And keep the conversation going. Why don't we have that now? All these creators, and they're black or they're Jewish. I don't know what.
So here's the thing. The reason why is because, well, number one, and Paul, you understand this, especially black films weren't seen as money makers by studios at all. Right?
No, as a matter of fact, they were
So-
turned away from in the international markets. They said urban movies don't play internationally.
Exactly. So we're talking up until maybe mid 2000s.
Yeah, not too.
It's been very recent since Hollywood
100%.
discovered, hey, guess what? You can make money off of black content, right? So,
Look at the box office for Creed 3.
right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that Hollywood hasn't learned its lesson yet. I mean, not really. Because, see, their version of learning their lesson is race swapping.
Yeah,
It's not creating original material or
Well,
original black material,
you know-
or original Asian material or Latino
let's
material.
go.
It's
Let's use the show for a second with the Latino indigenous take on Namor. I was listening to the official Marvel podcast on Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, hosted by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Part 5 is interview with Tenoch and their Chicano studies expert on Mesoamerica, the whole thing. So I was like, oh, okay. I did not know about this. This was released very quietly when they released it on Disney Plus. This all came out. And the way they try to make this movie so important to Latinos, which it's not. It's just not. It's like, are you guys gonna talk about who Namor really is at all?
Yeah.
There's the comic book character and why you had to make it, forget all the legal stuff, but why you made it this. Because one interesting thing that Ta-Nehisi brought up was he did not like to see black and brown images fighting against each other. I thought that was really on point. Because RMB, I had a major problem with that shit. This is supposed to be a superhero movie.
come on, man! Don't you know? Or it's we all want to get rid of you.
Oh my
Come
god!
on, let's just be honest.
But I think it's even more telling.
So yeah,
that,
please,
Ryan
please
Coogler
continue
signed
the
on for that,
conversation. Please
Yeah.
say that again. Sorry.
No, I said I think it's very telling though that Ryan Coogler is the one who signed on for that story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but here's I will say this though. When I was growing up, I read a lot of stuff about ancient astronauts, and the Mayan civilization. I mean, whether it was true or not, there was a movie that came out in the 70s called The Outer Space Connection from Sun Classic Pictures. It was one of these, the same company that made the In Search of Historic Jesus and Mysterious Monsters.
Well, I remember In Search of.
They were kind of like, was a TV show. But these were movies, and it was kind of like what they've done on the Learning Channel now with all these crazy ancient aliens and all that. But
Right.
But I remember one of the things that I love, they really went into the Mayan culture and the lines at Nazca that looked like a landing field, but if only if you looked at it from the air. So there was all of this. Yeah, there was all of this stuff about, and where did the Mayans go? Like Roland Emmerich's movie 2012. Like, that's where the Mayan calendar ends, and they're going to come back. And when I was a kid, I was so obsessed with Mesoamerican culture not because of Mesoamerican culture, because I thought that's where the ancient aliens come from. So for me, the idea of using Mesoamerican culture as a jumping off point to create a super society in the Marvel Cinematic Universe I did not object to it right away. Only because now
I remember you talking about it on Campia. You were into it.
Yeah,
and I was into it. I was touting it. I was excited for these concepts. I'm like, whoa, okay, if you can do it right.
Well, because I thought that's
Pretty
what
amazing.
they were like going to go into, like that maybe the same, they would get into the meteor that landed in Wakanda or whatever that gave them this kind of power that ultimately they were a linked civilization, like they were two sides of the same coin maybe, and they would and it was, I mean, I appreciate what they were trying to do. I mean, to me it makes more sense that I thought Namor was, I really thought that he was going to be Asian. Like they would have had the Atlantis civilization would have collapsed.
And to be honest, that would have made more sense.
Well, they did. It was Jason Momoa's Aquaman.
Well, yeah, exactly. Or the South Sea Islanders or something
South
like
Asian.
that. But what's so weird though to me is they're kind of locked into this idea that everybody has to get represented now. Like with the Eternals. The Eternals was weird to me because it's like, okay, well, we now have to represent everybody, and in a way they kind of made it. And I like the Eternals, by the way. I liked it more than a lot of people. A lot of people hate it. I just
You might be the only person I know who said they like that movie.
I thought it was because again, ancient aliens and all that stuff when I was
right.
Stuff that just appealed to me and there were so many things have delved into that idea, like Stargate, the Egyptians are ancient aliens and all that. But I do think that with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they keep trying to change because the Eternals didn't necessarily represent a lot of what Jack Kirby had started and that Neil Gaiman carried on. And,
no, and to try to, not to cut you off, but to try to transfer a Kirby story into film, it's nearly impossible, or I should say, a Kirby character, because Kirby had a certain style, man, that. It doesn't work on film. I mean, it works in animation. Doesn't work on film though.
No, and how do you his environments alone? Like
how
do you translate that stuff into?
Let's go back to and I think it's permeated right in all our IPs is this fascination with representation. It's really downright ruined a lot of stories, a lot of shows, just because that is so like just hammered now with us.
So I have a theory about
that.
this.
I like what Jonas says here.
Yeah, this is really interesting.
The problem with Wakanda is they're basically turned them into colonizers without a colonization, a xenophobic superculture that doesn't want to be invaded by brown people. What the hell are you doing, Victoria Alonso, who just left Marvel today or yesterday, whenever Friday? I don't know.
Right.
What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on that? Go RMB.
Well, I mean, okay, this is going to seem strange to say, but like in Wakanda, we look at it, we as viewers look at it like, here's a nation state, a super sophisticated nation state of black people. And I would say we shouldn't be looking at it that way. We should be looking at it as a nation state of people from this area of the world, where the birthplace of humanity. Like I would couch it and I would say that, you know what, the Wakandans are the oldest in a way, they represent the first humans, the first and best humans. But the way that we're looking at it, because of representation, because of the way we are now couching everything, we're no longer looking at things as people first. Right. And for me, I would be like when I was in learning about archaeology, learning about like Dr. Richard Leakey at Olduvai Gorge, finding Homo habilis and Lucy and the first people, the first human beings. Well, they're in Africa. So why isn't then in like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, why aren't the people in Africa couched as the first people, the first humans, the oldest humans? And it makes sense that the Wakandans would be the most super sophisticated people on the planet. But we're supposed to look at them, and I think that the identifying, because that's what we always want to do, how do people look, as opposed to how people are. And I think that, and I don't understand, this is what I don't understand. How did this happen? Like when I was growing up in the world, I liked all people. I appreciated, I liked all different kinds of music. I had all different kinds of friends. I had LGBTQ friends starting when I was 13 years old. I never really thought about that. I never looked at my friends and said, "Oh, my gay friend or my black friend." They were just my friends. And it never occurred to me. I mean, the big thing was like, who's your mom's, what does your mom make? I mean, we talked about this, Paulie. Like, I define my friends by, if we're going to go to their house, what might their mom make for dinner? You know, it's whose mom made the dish that we all loved. And everybody's mother made a dish in our neighborhood that we liked. And it's like, okay, we can get something. When's your mom going to make whatever, your strudel or whatever? And I never thought about those divides in my friends. They were just my friends. In the last 20 years, we have the civilization, at least for me, has changed when everybody wants to be defined, or maybe our society is defining people by their overt outward characteristics. You know, it's the old adage when Dr. King talked about defining people by their character. I mean, that's the world I grew up in. Like, that's all I would hear. I remember hearing that in elementary school, which wasn't that far away from the 60s, and whether it was Vietnam protests or whether it was civil rights or women's rights. You know, and as we've gotten further away from that, I thought we were on a pretty good evolutionary path, what I was seeing in my life. And now I feel we've spun off into craziness. And I don't understand it, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can answer that.
Dante.
There's money in division.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I hate to be that guy, because, you know,
No, but you're not wrong.
Conspiracy guy, right? But no, there's money in division. And we're also living in a time where Hollywood is trying to do two things, right? Like, they're trying to course correct for all the decades of filmmaking where, you know, anyone of color was given shit roles or no roles at all, right?
Yep.
So they're trying to course correct that because it looks bad now, right? Because it didn't look bad then. And when I say back then, I'm talking the 90s.
Oh, right? No. I mean, dude, I remember, I've told this story before, but when I first saw She's Gotta Have It, you know, back in the 80s, I was stunned by that movie. Again, took place in New York. Didn't know a woman like that who dated multiple dudes. Spike Lee's filmmaking. It was incredible. When I made my first film, we even have a line in it where Phil Lamar says this character's got about as much chance of winning an Oscar as Spike Lee. You know, because even after you know, Do the Right Thing came out, which should have won the Oscar.
Oh, absolutely.
It absolutely should have. And you watch that film right now, it's still a knockout. It's one for the ages. And like you said,
Rosie Perez.
I mean, that film is just. But yeah, you're right. It was still shitty then.
Yeah.
But people have, on their own terms, have taken that stuff, and social media has changed society. The rise of hip hop. Right. You know, I mean, when people like Eric B. and Rakim were sampling Ofra Haza, suddenly you had people moving for Wu-Tang Clan, you know, with their love of martial arts movies.
There was De La Soul,
Daryl
Hall and John Oates.
100%. And suddenly it's like now somebody would scream,
perfect.
that's cultural appropriation. Our cultures are meant to be shared. It's the whole point is if we like something from somebody else's culture, you share it and you emulate it, you do it and you honor it, whatever. And let's all go get a meal.
The weirdest thing about that is, for some reason, that concept was fully embraced in the 80s.
Totally.
Right?
Oh my God.
Fully embraced by everybody in the 80s. Like
80s pop culture. That's when I grew up. It was this melange of everything. It was everything.
You had guys in the hood listening to Wham.
Dude.
Right. And then you had
you know what I mean?
You had little brown kids like me in West LA dressing up as Prince for Halloween.
Dude, when I first moved
here,
I
would have my little paisley thing coming out my suit jacket.
Nice. Did you have the ruffle shirt?
I did a weird mix of like I was like a mod ska Prince guy. I was always experimenting, man. I loved it.
Prince himself probably would have loved that you did that.
I loved that time.
Oh, it was a great time, man.
That was everything, and everything was music, movies. It was all part of, and fashion.
Yeah,
it was everybody was sharing everything, and you would be a part of. You know, I told you, Paulie, when I moved down, I used to go to there was like a strip club in South Central LA. That place was off the hook. And it was, That was in '88 when I first moved here, and wherever I went in LA in 1988, even though the Crips and the Bloods were still killing each other, but it was fun. Not that wasn't fun, but I mean, when you would go to a club and if you showed people that you were there to have a good time, people would take you under their wing and like come to this party, and we'll go to. I had wound up in the summer of 1988, so many parties in people's backyards that I didn't know. Come to the house, we'll make some margaritas and cook up some barbecue, whatever you're going to make. It was amazing. I loved it.
See, here's the thing. I think the reason why we were able to do that in the 80s was because, look, we had a huge common enemy, right? In Russia.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
It was literally
that's a
us
really good point.
versus them. So it allowed us to not fight within and be a lot more unified because we had this huge common dragon.
Very good point.
That we all needed to slay, right? Which was the Soviet Union.
A good one.
When they fell, we didn't really have much to fight with. So the infighting was almost a given.
That's a very good point.
Before we move on, let me get these super chats and thank the chat has been fantastic. Great comments. 87 likes. If we can get up to 100, I would be so happy tonight.
Smash that like button.
Smash it.
Smash it.
We're here with Dante Verbal Right. You see him on Film Threat with Chris Gore. We're here with the amazing, the incredible Robert Meter Burnett, RMB.
It's great to be streaming with you. This is, I love these kinds of. Every time I come on your channel, Paulie, I feel like we have really great conversations. This is a great conversation. This is what YouTube is best at.
I agree.
JPRPH1 has become a new member of the Slantino Nation. Gracias, brother.
Very cool.
Muchísimas gracias. Leonardo Guillen from Mexico, I presume, with 65 Mexican pesos. As a Mexican, I can't even say that I hated that name, or because I'm not brown skinned. FN sensitivity everywhere nowadays.
Well, that's another thing.
That is a whole nother thing. Thank you.
Isn't it weird? I mean, part of the reason I loved when I moved to LA was Seattle was a little, to be fair, whitewashed. I mean, we didn't. That's why we produced Macklemore and Mix-a-Lot. It's what can I tell you? I mean, it's not exactly. It was not exactly a very dangerous or very edgy place, and everybody was. You could go to the worst part of town in Seattle. If your car broke down, somebody would come out of their house and go, "Excuse me, sir, would you like to use the phone to call AAA?" I mean, that's what it was like, and heroin kind of ruined that in the grunge era. But hey. And it got worse.
What are you gonna do?
Because what can you do?
What are you gonna do? A little heroin? Come on.
But I miss the days when people would just go out and have a good time, man. And I think social media and we used to look outward. We were always looking. I've said this all the time, but we looked outward. When you went out at night, you were not looking in. You were not waiting to get stuff onto your social media. When you stepped out of the house, it was magic time. You were going off on an adventure, and you never knew where it would lead you.
And you were in the moment.
In the moment, and when you met people, you looked them in the eye. You turned when you would go to a bar. All the guys knew we were there to meet the ladies, unless you were in West Hollywood, where you're there to meet the dudes. And I went with friends to West Hollywood.
Went to a couple of those too.
But everybody knew that they were there to have a good time, and there was kind of this unspoken. It was not malevolent, It was fun, and
was adventurous, exciting. There was still some sort of
people
innocence
smiled, man.
in life, in connecting and meeting new people and experiencing new, different, strange things, whatever.
I
mean, it's so weird. Now we sit at home and swipe right and meet people, and
but what's interesting about that too is, I mean, it's easy to blame that on what's happening now, but I'm starting to really understand the science behind the addiction part of
social media,
of not just social media, our phones.
Right. Yeah.
Right. There is a mental connection, almost
100%.
Almost emotional connection that we have with those phones. Right.
You're on point.
Some people cannot be without their phone for longer than like 5 minutes. They
But I
have to
think
be
it's because
always
of
near their phone.
but it's
Wait, hold
because of
on,
what
guys. I
they're
got a
getting
call.
from it.
Right.
You
We're
know, what
constantly being fed information. We're constantly being fed things to us through that phone. So that's another reason though why society's kind of broken down. And,
Yep.
I have a
and why
question
we're
for
not
you.
as in tune with each other.
I have a question for you, Dante,
Totally
because I
agree.
do want to go to get to our main celebration topic. Have you seen Blood In, Blood Out?
I have not.
Oh,
I know.
He should stay though.
should he stay?
Yeah.
I think he should stay.
Yeah, because I think Dante's smart enough to infer meaning from when we start talking.
Oh,
He'll get it.
He's gonna want to like get the DVD or whatever, you know. Get
That's all we can get. God damn it! Where's the Blu-ray or the 4K? I mean, first of all, that's a
Disney
whole
movie that they've.
it's-
Let's hold a conversation on that.
Yeah, sorry.
Toshi Yar for $5 Australian. Spike Lee created original stories for Black and brown people.
He creates stories for everybody. That was his genius. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
I think I'm sorry not to cut you off. I think people, because I hear this so much, man, and I tried to explain to people this way. He created stories for everybody that starred Black and brown people.
oh man,
He wasn't making movies just for Black and brown people.
no, and
he was just making movies
you nailed it.
that starred Black and brown people.
And I think that people forget that so much, that I think great storytelling is for everyone. That's why when I was growing up, I could watch Akira Kurosawa samurai movie. I love those movies. And I'm like, I'm not Japanese, so what does this movie have to say to me? I mean, it was historical fiction. It worked whether it didn't matter what color you were
No,
or
because
what
it's about the
ethnicity.
character. You don't think kids in the hood, Black kids, brown kids, you don't think we could all look at Peter Parker as a teenager and say, "Hey, that's me,"
Or
even though Peter Parker's white?
Yeah.
See, that's where I feel like that's where.
by the way, people have forgotten that.
I feel like that's where the insult to our intelligence comes, right?
Yep.
This is where studios think we're stupid because they think that we can't relate to a character who doesn't look or sound like we do or grew up like we do.
So really fast with Toshi, you know, my my thing with Spike is, I think he wrote original stories for everyone. They just happened to be about Black and brown people, and I loved his storytelling. I mean, I was in shock when I first saw Do the Right Thing in the theater, and I was, you know, I was what 19.
Yeah,
It really affected me in different ways because I was like, you know, I grew up pretty middle class, but I'm like, man, I had a lot of cousins that went through that same shit, you know, because they didn't have the advantages that I did. I mean, you know, my mom worked hard, so she would, you know, because she wanted nothing. She made the choice. I want nothing to do with, at that time, growing up, for my son to grow up in East LA, I had a different life. My cousins, they had a different life. And it was just amazing to watch that film and connect to it. But, you know, I'd never been to New York at the time. I didn't, you know, never knew anybody that really talked like that. Definitely, you know, I had the flashy, you know, crazy clothes or Radio Raheem, all that stuff. But, man, it was some really strong storytelling.
Well, also, people forget, like, Spike Lee made movies like Inside Man, which is a great thriller. Or he made, you know, with Clive Owen, or he made The 25th Hour with Edward Norton. I mean, Spike Lee is an incredibly, and I do not use this word ironically, but he's an incredibly diverse storyteller. I mean, he can make all different kinds of movies. I mean, I remember, watching... I didn't love School Days as much as I love She's Gotta Have It. But what I loved about it was about the only way I would have ever seen any glimpse into a world of an all-black college is watching that movie, you know, and that's why I liked it, because it was a world I didn't know about, nor could have known about. And if I could have known about it, it wouldn't have been like the protagonists of that film, or, you know, Loving Jazz, a movie like Mo Better Blues, you know, and the cinematography work of Ernest Dickerson.
Going back to that math.
Dude, I'm telling you, and you know, I've interviewed Academy Award winner Ruth Carter,
that
who
was
did Wakanda, and
Spike Lee's dad.
And yes, that's right. And you know, Ruth Carter told me about meeting Spike Lee for the first time, and she worked on many of his films, and how like that guy, not only is he a Knicks fan, but he was also a fan of art and music, and he met Ruth Carter out here in L.A.
Nice.
and he's a consummate filmmaker, and so I wish. I mean, I understand Spike Lee is also an activist, and he should be, but I think he's just a great filmmaker.
But see, that's the thing. I think he's a filmmaker first.
Yeah,
You know what I
man.
mean? And
All the great artists are.
I will say this, right? When it comes to Hollywood, and especially like, I don't want to say old Hollywood, but like let's say even up until the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Hollywood was a special club that you had to be blessed to get into, right?
Yep.
Like you had to be blessed. And when I say blessed, I mean you had to go to film school. You had to go to film school, and once you left film school, then you got to be able to fetch coffee for whoever knows how long, right?
Yep. I
So
did
you
that.
have to take these steps, and if you were really lucky, you got to hold a boomstick one day. It was like this whole like hierarchy that was built around Hollywood, right? Now we live in an age where you can literally shoot a movie on your phone,
Yeah, and they're
Right.
and they're good.
right? And they're good. So
Like Tangerine Dream. Or
my
Tangerine
thing
Dream,
is,
the movie
there really
Tangerine.
shouldn't be
Tangerine,
much
yeah.
for not being able to make good original stories that people are going to actually want to watch and have an outlet to watch them in, right? So for me, it all comes back down to just laziness, man. It's just lazy writing, lazy filmmaking, and that's
Well-
why it's so easy. Oh, and here's a very smart and almost devious thing that Hollywood did, right?
Yeah.
Lately. Because now when they do this race swapping thing, if their movie fails, they could blame it on the racist, right?
Yeah.
It failed because of racism, not because they wrote a horrible story. So they gave themselves a way out.
Blame it on blame it on Robert Meter Burnett.
I mean, I really don't know who to blame it on at this point. Because you know what? All the studios are doing it.
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
it's really bad. It's
So I
it's,
you know,
look,
it's really lazy, and it's cheap. It's easy because you can just do it like you said. You can just do it on a post. You
But
can
I
do it
think
on a
that-
tweet.
but I think that they've commodified it. You know, they've commodified this outrage. And we sort of walked. I think we sort of walked into it.
oh, right into it.
And
Just,
then
like,
you know
blindly.
we did it, and this idea of for instance, you know, I think for the most part, I believe in this might be naive, but I believe that most people are good. You know, you get a bunch of people, you get a bunch of disparate people together at that's why I'm like, if you're gonna have a party's only as good as the people that you invite. You know, and a great party is a bunch of people that are willing to come in and share of themselves and have they're predisposed to having a good time.
Right.
You know, and I believe that the world kind of used to be that way. And I think one of the changes with social media and, like you said, phones, what phones did that changed everything, it brought people are now able to curate good feeling. Like, you could never curate how you felt before unless you took a pill. Now a phone can just bring you a bunch of goodness that you love. There's no, like, it just brings you, get that, whatever I need that needs a dopamine hit, whatever game I'm playing.
Instant gratification.
It's instant gratification, information, belief, whatever. And the thing was, even in the early aughts, you couldn't do that. You had to go out of the house. And my friend Sean, who passed away in 2011, we had a philosophy when we went out, because we partied for years. And our philosophy was whatever comes our way. Meaning that wherever we are, we're going to try and make the most of it. So if we are at a lame party, rather than go search for another party, we would try and make whatever, we would take the resources that were at the party and try and make it a good party. Let's get it bumping. I don't know how it's going to happen, but let's try and do that. And I discovered with Sean, we had more fun doing it. That I could write a book about the late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s of what it was like to live in LA with what happened to us. People wouldn't believe it. And it was all because we just had a positive attitude with smiles on our faces, and whoever we met, that would be fucking awesome. And that was our attitude. And now there's a weird like everyone by not having an agenda, or I mean, our agenda was to have a good time with whatever was there, you know, and I found it's like the New Zealand film industry. They'll take barbed wire or baling wire and duct tape and figure out how to make something out of it.
Well,
And it's that kind of an attitude, and that attitude's gone. Now everyone wants to pre-vet their own experiences. If I'm not sure that I'm going to have a great time, or if I haven't seen it on my phone, or if I don't know what's going to happen when I get there, I'm not going.
okay, we got to get to our main subject because now I have a 45-minute window.
Oh,
Oh, hey, I know. Romy ordered Joe's pizza. I gotta go pick it up in about 40 minutes. I mean,
man, that pizza sounds good right
Joe's
now.
pizza. Oh my God! You know what? But I have an idea, gentlemen, because we're talking about all this. I want to invite all you guys down here, and I'll trick out the front, and we'll create a table studio, and I want us in the same room chomping it up with Chris Core.
I like
Oh, it'd be great.
Let's do this, guys. I got all the equipment. I think I people hunger for that if they're not in the same city with us because they want to see us together. They want to.
Right,
If
right.
you ever notice, they love those videos and stuff when we're out of the theater or we're together or I don't know what, because oh my God, life. This interaction. Yes, that's what it's all about. So let's do it. You guys down?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
whenever,
always
man.
down.
All right.
Plus,
so
I think we should actually do more of that. Like, especially if we're all Dante. Are you in LA?
Yeah.
yeah, he's right down the street from me.
Oh, I had no idea. Well, I mean, I really think that more YouTube collaborations between LA-based people, and even like when Gary comes in, could only benefit the whole community as a whole.
I completely agree.
I'm trying to work on that loan, man, to get that business storefront, and we just make it private, trick it out, and it's on.
Well,
It's
it'd be
on.
cool. I mean, if
Yep.
maybe we could get it. The key to would be get it sponsored by somebody else.
Well, the key lies with Mexican Iron Man because he knows the things of
oh,
business.
Mexican Iron Man knows everything, and one of my favorite things I own is he actually got me a hot toy.
Oh
a
yeah,
modified
yeah.
hot toy.
Have you seen that, Dante?
It's the
No, I
greatest.
haven't.
Oh,
Is it available?
It's not. You know what? It's
don't worry about
not.
it.
It's not within. No,
Right, reaching distance.
Because I've
Okay.
been moving stuff around, but it's because it's going up in a very
Yeah.
very rarefied
Yes,
place.
Shanatsky, I'm desperately trying to get to it, but we keep fucking diverting ourselves because we're having a good time talking. Okay,
Oh my God, Mexican Iron Man loves Fanta, says Monkey
dude, they give him
Kibis.
such a hard time because he hates Fanta and he hates Alf.
I hate Alf. Who likes Alf? Come on, man. Come on, dude.
Dude, I always thought that shit was so weird, the Alf, when I was a kid. I was like,
I'm like,
what
I don't
is
want to
that?
meet that. He was the one
weird- it was
alien I
weird,
didn't
but
want to
we
meet.
accepted it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really fast comments. Great discussion. Thank you, Stump Rat. Michael Drew. Loving this chat, fellas. Big fan of you all. Guys, make sure you all subscribe. We can get Dante's verbal riot. He just blew by 1,000, right?
Yeah. I just need to get
Beautiful, man.
my schedule a little bit more consistent. But I got some new videos coming this week. So
Great. Okay, here we go. Dante, if this ever was a palate cleanser, I don't know what else is, because you are about to be we're going to introduce you to one of the greatest Chicano crime exploitation action drama features ever made.
It's the East Los Godfather, man.
Why is Blood In, Blood Out so popular after 30 years? 30 years it's been out. And here
Wow,
is
really?
the epic pose of
La Onda,
La Onda.
mi familia.
You have Danny Trejo, a younger iteration of Danny Trejo on the far right. You have in the middle Popeye Saavedra with his Panama hat. You have Miklo, the half Mexican, half white character. And so let's dive into this because there's so much to go over, especially with Dante not knowing what this is. Carlos Cantana wrote, "What can you say about Blood In, Blood Out? Bound by Honor, 1993, the Chicano exploitation flick that hasn't that hasn't already been said. Blood In, Blood Out is officially 30 years old now, and as someone who saw originally the film in the theater, it's odd to me that it's more popular now than it was then. It has generations of obsessive fans by now, dedicated social media accounts, merch galore. But for the life of me, I simply cannot comprehend why people hold this odd film and its perverse characters in such high regard, even after all these years. Now, Blood In, Blood Out was directed by non-Chicano Taylor Hackford.
Like the whitest dude in the world, married to Dame Helen Mirren.
But he's not. We'll get to that in a second. Is allegedly based on the true life experiences of Chicano poet Jimmy Santiago Baca. How much of this film is actually based on his life remains a mystery, but a quick glance at his bio reveals that he did 5 years in Arizona State Prison, and in his early 20s, 3 of them in isolation, where he began to write and read and write poetry, and eventually submit his writings to magazines. He's of course talking about the amazing Jimmy Santiago Baca. The story for Blood In, Blood Out is credited to Ross Thomas, while the screenplay is partially credited to Baca, in addition to Jimmy Iacone and Floyd Mutrix. Mutrix also wrote the screenplay for American Me and was its executive producer. RMB, first thoughts so far on this 30th anniversary?
Well, I mean, look, again, a movie that I saw and it was completely out of my own experience. But I would say one of the things that I love about this movie is East Los Angeles, East Los, is a realm unto itself. And in my mind, I'll tell you how I think, it's an alien world, even though I could drive to it when I saw this movie. And I had. And, it's the Los Angeles, the Chicano community, the Mexican community, the Latino community is this interesting diaspora that has, I mean, you go all the way back to Zoot Suit, and it is such a vibrant part of the entire history of California. And then it encompasses everything, as every immigrant culture does. A lot of the time, the first people that are there are the criminal element. And then, you have the criminal element, then you have the people that are looking for a better life. In terms of classical storytelling, all the elements are there. And also then you're dealing with a certain economic class, you're dealing with different lifestyles. So for me, immediately, it is a realm that I am totally interested in immersing myself in from a storytelling standpoint. And so, I immediately had a way in, even I think it's Bill Conti who wrote the music score.
You're right.
Billy, right? It's Bill Conti.
Yes.
And we're talking Rocky Bill Conti.
Right.
And I just was immediately fascinated. And then you've got, it's the story of basically, if you want to go really like The Godfather, like Coppola called The Godfather a story about a king and his 3 sons. It's not about the Italian mafia. That's the superficial place it takes place in.
Yeah.
But he's writing a classical Shakespearean story in The Godfather, and the same is true of this film. You have 3 characters that they're brothers. They grew up as brothers, and then they essentially, all 3 of them go off on very different lives. And that odyssey for the 3 of them is incredibly compelling. One goes into a life of crime, joins the Mexican mafia, prison gangs. One becomes a heroin-addicted artist, and the other becomes a cop. And their journeys, I think, are immediately compelling in how they bounce off each other and what happens to all 3 of them, and the fact that they're still this family, mi familia. I mean, it's mi familia and mi familia. It has those Shakespearean qualities, and it's very much a Los Angeles story at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, somebody from outside of LA, the same way I love stories about New York, I've always loved stories about the last 100 years of Los Angeles. I'm sucked in. That's why I love, Carl Franklin's Devil in a Blue Dress, the Easy Rollins books. I mean, I love Walter Mosley's Star Trek. I did a whole thing about that, but I love that. I love, and this has all of that in it.
So, this article, and I'm showing you guys images from the actual behind the scenes,
And they
which
shot it in the actual place.
yeah, and that's what they were talking about. So, yeah, it tells the story of two brothers and their cousin. The cousin's half white, half Mexican,
But they're
and
brothers. I mean,
they're all, but
yeah.
they're familia, correct?
This film is about family. It's about
I remember
these
this
three
movie now.
young men, two half brothers and a cousin.
I remember this movie. Okay.
This film explores the pain and the intensity.
Can we just say how beautifully this thing was shot?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So, by the way, guys, I have seen this movie.
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah.
good.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
Yeah,
tell you.
I was
You know
very
what?
surprised that
Now,
you didn't see
we should say
Yep.
that this movie, they changed the title.
Yes.
The original title of the movie is Blood In, Blood Out, and then they like so many, like Once Upon a Time in America, they cut it down like by a half an hour, and they released it as Bound by Honor.
Okay, so I remember that name.
Yeah.
That I remember.
Bound by Honor,
So-
and they took out
okay.
the love interest.
Yes, and so
which-
so this is one of these compromised movies too.
Which also kind of makes it a little more homoerotic, which which what our writer in his story was saying. If you search online, you will find tons of blood in, blood out merch, everything from t-shirts to posters, prints, artwork, stickers to coffee mugs, even coloring books. Seriously, people love these characters. Several of the actors in the films make living appearances at swap meets, selling autographs, doing merch, selling merch. That's true. Even have cameo accounts. One of the truly puzzling things about Blood In, Blood Out, whether it's intentional or not, is the film is incredibly homoerotic. This is bizarre considering the fan base.
Actually, yeah.
Previously, American Me was the most homoerotic prison movie ever made, but in Blood Out, swooped in and knocked out the park. I think one of the reasons is because that love interest was cut out from Ben Bratt's character. The closest thing we have to a relationship is that one between Miklo and Big Al. During that courtship, Miklo kisses Big Al in the mouth, tweaks his nipples, sucks his finger,
Wow.
and squeezes his package. He even tells him, "I'm gonna lick him clean."
Wow.
Yeah, but that's I mean, that's a little disingenuous. I mean,
It is, but it's great. This is fun writing.
Yeah, it is.
This is all in addition to the fact that Popeye tries to drape Miklo on camera and mentions later that he would put him back in high heels. Let me tell you guys, some of the lines in this film you just could not get away with today. There's no way. There's just no way.
Dude, there's a lot
Of the
movies that they
Latino
can't
life
make
in East Los Angeles. Working class people who are struggling to assimilate into America. It's about young men having a dream. Every film that I make, I try to make something that, strikes me to the core. And in this film, I had a huge responsibility. I'm an Anglo making a film about a Latino culture. I needed a collaborator.
With his pink polo on. I love
I
it.
know, right?
Best.
I
By the way,
fucking-
he would never be allowed to make this movie today.
Oh no.
Never.
Or he'd get a lot of shit like the way David Ayer got with tax.
They would burn that studio down.
Yeah.
You know.
Disney.
And
Disney
this
was
is
the
a Disney
studio.
film.
It's a Disney.
This is owned by
movie.
Disney. They kill him for being.
They made it under their Hollywood Pictures.
Hey, you know what, Shinatsky? Hollywood would, but not the homies here. You come and say you want to film because they actually filmed in the prisons in the barrios. You treat them with respect, and they vaulted and loved Taylor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and he loved them
He loved them.
because
Who
he was a
could
producer
really
on Selena.
We can remember he also produced La Bamba.
Right.
He made sure that Luis Valdez directed it.
Yep.
Now, this guy's cut from the same cloth as California cloth as George Lucas, just as far as growing up with Chicanos around him.
Speak to these issues and talk about these characters and know them intimately. Plus, I needed a terrific writer. What I wanted was a true Chicano voice for this project. I called Jimmy Santiago Baca. He said, well, I'm not a screenwriter. I said, yes, but you've got the voice that I'm looking for. You've got the experience. I read your poetry.
I happened to be home. I happened to be in a good mood. I talked to him, and I was listening very deeply to what kind of person he was. And it was when I said, yes, I think I can do it.
Do you remember him when we talked to him that day?
Oh yeah.
He said the same thing, man. Those
Yeah.
guys are still, and that was the thing, Dante, when we had a reunion panel with these guys. They're still so connected.
That's cool.
Yeah, and you know
They
it was,
still live in LA, right?
yeah.
No,
Does he not live in LA?
who?
Jimmy Baca?
No, he's a New Mexican boy. He's still in New Mexico. No, he doesn't claim LA. He knows the barrios, but Taylor's LA.
Yeah, but I mean, what was so crazy, Dante, I was saying earlier, I didn't even know Taylor Hackford. And I'm like, I bet I can get him to come on to this panel. And I just made a few phone calls and got in touch with his assistant. I was explaining, hey, you know, we're doing this thing with Latino Slant and Midnight's Edge and we're trying to raise money for the Latino theater here in LA. Would he come on? And I thought we'd get him for 10 minutes. He was on for like over an hour.
Wow. Yeah, it was beautiful, bro. Ben Bratt, all the actors.
They love this movie too,
dude.
It's great.
I mean,
That's cool. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Let me read a little bit of the story as well.
By the way, you can still watch this stream. Anybody who's interested, is it on Midnight's Edge or your channel?
It's on Midnight's Edge, and there's like a 10-minute version here on the channel. I'll put the links.
It's really cool.
To those to that panel. I'll put the links in our video box description of this movie.
And it's what YouTube. I think it's one of the great examples of what YouTube is best at.
There's a 4K of this on YouTube.
4K,
dude. I know.
There's
somebody
a 4K of this.
I think somebody. I don't know if it's ever been transferred in 4K.
Right.
I don't know if they used AI. It looks great.
Dude, it looks killer.
It looks so good. Where is my? Look, man, I got a 4K of Dragon Slayer this week, or today, actually.
Yeah.
Where is my 4K of Blood In, Blood Out?
Ask Tom of Midnight's Edge.
I mean,
when it was
now
initially
that I know
released,
it's possible,
Blood In, Blood
I'm
Out
gonna
was
look at
treated
my
as
4K version of The Wiz.
Is there one?
I hope so.
I would like to ease on down that 4K road, let me tell you.
When it was initially released, Blood In, Blood Out was treated as nothing more than an expectation and its characters as caricatures. The reviews at the time were largely spot on, but fast forward 30 years later, and these characters are now treated like warped Disney icons in the film as something almost biblical. Absolutely, man.
God. So wait, you know what's funny? I've never delved into the reviews. Was it badly reviewed? Because the theatrical version was released as Bound by Honor, right? So it was cut down.
Here he says, film critic Ebert argued that there are no role models or heroes in Blood In, Blood Out, and it's a nihilistic story, but I disagree. When you watch the film as an adult, it becomes clear that Paco, despite his many flaws, is the hero of the story. But, oh God, what a great role. But the film portrays Paco as the villain, the salad, the coconut, and the pig, and Miklo as some sort of Chicano sage. This is a gross portrayal and sends the wrong message, but people eat it up. So let me go to the last paragraph of what Sarlo says. While fandom is fine on its surface, when it's these things turned into something more then there's an issue. Blood In, Blood Out, with its dark and nihilistic story and perverse characters, in my opinion, should be left as a relic of the 90s and watched for fun rather than be treated as serious filmmaking or some kind of cultural icon. I have to disagree with you, Sarlos. I do love you to death. I love your writing, but I do disagree. Disagree. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think, Robert?
Well, with that comment, I mean, I think here's my problem with a lot of people that look back at movies and they're trying to contextualize them from today's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Humanity sucks. I mean, throughout the course of human evolution, human history, we're not a bunch of good people. We're not a bunch of self-actualized people, but we're trying. We're trying. And I think that this is a film that is, of course, a product of its time. but I also think that at the end of the day, it does tell a very legitimate story about how within a culture there are many different elements that have many different facets, some good, some bad, but they all work together, that we are a complex system of individual behavior that is not so easily quantified. And, you know, some people have darkness in them, some people have light. We are very complex people. And whenever we try and, I don't know, reduce things to a sentence, we're doing everyone a great disservice.
Yeah, I think you know, Chicanos from that time were kind of embarrassed, and not the Chicanos from the street, not from Raza, that the lowriders, the regular hard, you know, blue collar Raza. They've embraced this, and they're the ones that are keeping this like going strong. I have grown to really love this movie, the way it's filmed, the stories, whether some of it's over the top or not.
Oh, it's totally over the top.
That these storylines are they're taken from true life. Like there's this shit really, you know, like I said, this shit has happened to a lot of my cousins. Not that they're in Miami, but it's a wonderful film, and it's you can find, and yeah, it's very quotable, it's very memes, and we're gonna bring up some memes right now, but
well, also, I mean, the fact is, if regardless of what you think of a film, if it has endured time, and if it continues to mean something to people and new generations discover it again and again and again, doesn't that mean, like all art, doesn't that mean that there is value there of some kind?
Absolutely.
You might not understand what it is, but it's definitely something to be puzzled over.
So I want to go to this last part. I think it's really wonderful in this video.
5.5 weeks.
How they talk about the ending of the film, Rob.
And it was an incredible experience. And I know the reality is on the screen. When you're inside those prison walls and you see those men's faces, there's only 8 actors. All the rest are real inmates.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Dude.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I thought this was a total set. That's a lot of men right there, dude.
And the safety, you know, they were all like, okay.
Yep, they had to sign their lives away.
Well, I mean, who insured this movie?
I don't think.
Oh my God, I don't think you could do it today.
Right.
I don't think that this film has followed the footsteps of any film before it. I don't think it has predecessors. I think that what Taylor Hackford did as a director was leap into this arena of fire. It could have been easy to follow some sort of recipe, but we didn't. We were truly following the heartbeat of East LA.
Because we're from East Los,
The film is about revelation and forgiveness. It's someone forgiving another person for hurting them, and it's someone else revealing to that person their weakness. At the very end, we're looking at a man weeping who hasn't wept. We're looking at a man talking who hasn't talked. We're looking at 2 brothers embracing who haven't embraced.
What's important is the end of
Dude.
Come on, right there, man.
Fuck. We can't just that have that nowadays without some, you know, there's gonna be this agenda or that agenda. I mean, it's 2 brothers who haven't spoke to each other because of major betrayal. I mean, what a fucking Shakespearean story, bro. Yes, and the chon chon.
And but it transcends the time in which it's made.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, I mean, we had that same, you know, discussion about like RRR, about how, you know, it's gotten to the point now where, you know, you can't have, you know, men be straight men who care about each other, right? Now it's like, you know, if they care about each other, they have to be involved, right? So
good point.
Which is such a weird place to be, especially if you grew up watching movies your whole life.
Right.
So odd.
Right.
I mean, that's just, and if you know the story with these 2 brothers, this is one of the greatest endings of a film, period. Just
And it's
film it.
great because it's got that great shot when the camera just pulls away, right
LA
out
River,
of LA
yeah.
River, and you've got them there, and it's great. It's great. And it's hard. If you want to see this movie, I cannot stress enough. I hope it's still on YouTube. Blood In, Blood Out 4K, because probably no one cared to take it down. But I hope it's there because it's the best way to watch the film. So watch it on your home theater system, whatever you can. If you're gonna watch it, and you should, because it's so entertaining. Here's that shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would not be allowed to make that movie today.
No. And is the world a better place because it exists? I think so.
Oh yeah, that's a great segue into our video of memes that Blood In, Blood Out has produced. I don't always watch Blood In, Blood Out, but when I do, I feel like Miklo. And yes, this is from Fletcher Williams. Gracias, Fletcher. Let's see what else do we got. I don't want his pork chop.
By the way, this guy, he's such a good character.
Yeah, he was on the panel.
I know.
Castillo.
He is so good.
I want his live.
He's like a Jedi. He's the Jedi of the movie.
He was. He was.
He is. He's the Jedi of the movie.
Well, he's the ex-con turned,
He's the voice of reason. He's the preacher.
The voice of the barrio, the Chicano shaman. Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do we got?
Carlos Castaneda, the Yaqui way of knowledge. I love this so much.
I want this Mando. Life's a risk, carnal.
Dude, I want to make this. I want to get one of the life-size Grogus just to do this.
You said you wanted some Grogu, so I got some for you.
That would be the best cosplay ever.
Ever.
Oh my god. There's a can of Chinga tu Madre right there on the table, man.
Wow.
Wow. Some of these lines, bro. Some of these lines. Oh, wait, what happened? Trying to find the toggle. Okay, that was Nick. Oh, that was a good one. Today we're going to paint an Aztec princess.
I mean, that's a deep cut.
That's a lot right there.
Now I want to see this Bob Ross movie.
Yeah, exactly.
That is
forget Owen Wilson.
That is El Bobby Ross. Oh man, what else do we got? The question: what is La Onda? Some questions you don't ask.
So good. These are pretty good, man. I feel like we're part of a cult that I didn't realize it was a cult. Now I know.
Now you see why Sarlos was kind of like poking fun at us.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'll take this cult any day.
I will too.
And a Halloween a costume of Smokey.
That's so funny.
And if you notice, there's a coconut.
Wow. But that's, you know what I love about memes like this?
Huh.
I love the thought process behind them.
Hey,
I mean, these are people who I want to be writing novels and screenplays.
Thank you.
The people that come up with this stuff.
Thank you. Hire these Disney, Lucasfilm. Hire these motherfuckers.
Because they get. I mean, I'm not saying they could write a screenplay, but they certainly have the wit to be writing something.
Me remembering. This is a video. This is pretty wild, guys. Me remembering Blood In, Blood Out as a Buena Vista movie. So it's technically a Disney movie.
It's technically a Disney movie.
Joker! You gotta fire Mamacita! The matter, Spider? You scared of me? I'm gonna catch you on the fucking rebound.
Oh no.
I'm gonna squash you like the PJ bug you are. Come on, motherfucker! Bomb it on!
Well done. Well done.
Oh,
Well done.
I mean,
They're not wrong.
fucking amazing. Fucking amazing. Thank you, Fletcher Williams. You're a god, Fletcher.
Wow.
God among men with all these.
I'm
Oh,
being
this is a good
called
one.
to dinner.
This is a good one. This is a good
I
one.
have to say.
This is one. Hey, papai, I have some chonchons down.
Oh my God! Wow.
Jesus.
Ooh, boy.
Woo. Boy, if we're not canceled earlier in the stream, we sure is now.
Well, I mean, look, it's not our movie. We're just recognizing.
Vatos Locos Forever with tamales, eh? Wow.
He did not come on our stream.
He's the only guy, and I know someone's trying to get him to come on to the slant. When he does, I'm gonna get you guys back on there with me. Fuck. Your Asian friends after making them watch American Me and Blood and Blood.
Oh no.
Órale.
Wow.
Canceled for too much chon chon. Fucking A, man. All right. So listen, it's Legend looms large, 30th anniversary. Why do you think if what is it? 4K is not released.
It's not even on Blu-ray.
It's
You can only get it. I want to say it was Anchor Bay that released it. I mean, I have the DVD, but I think it's Anchor Bay that released it. And yeah, you can't get it. And that DVD went out of print in the aughts. So it's a hard film to get on physical media. The best way to see it is on YouTube, if that 4K. I don't know if they use. It makes sense that somebody used like AI to up-res it to 4K. I would believe that. But it's really sad that the state of Bob Iger has talked about going back. Disney has licensed out a lot of their the Hollywood Pictures and the Touchstone. Touchstone was their PG division.
Yeah.
Hollywood Pictures was their R-rated division. And it's really sad that these movies, that they just don't care. Like movies like Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Or Ruthless People. Or Blood In, Blood Out.
What about Moscow on the Hudson?
I don't know. I think that's Columbia.
Okay.
It might not be
You're
Disney.
talking like Touchstone and all them.
But I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not sure. But So who knows? I mean, they don't even care. They don't even care about these movies being in their library. They've done nothing with the Fox. Where's my Patton 4K? They've done nothing with any of these libraries. And Bob Iger's like, well, maybe we made a mistake.
It's because they don't have any incentive to.
No. And they don't have any incentive, and there's no institutional knowledge left of anyone there that even knows what's in their library.
Wow.
Like, they've done nothing with the Fox library as far as physical media in 4K. Nothing. It's Fox. French Connection. Where's that?
Really?
Where's my beloved Zardoz in 4K?
Oh, Zardoz. Talk about chon.
They're never going to do that.
It's all about the streaming, man. That's all they care about now.
I know.
And we got the link to the 4K full movie Blood In, Blood Out with subtitles for you guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that link in the chat. So you guys, now you have no excuse.
The Straight Story. Aaron Taylor says The Straight Story by David Lynch. Yeah, where is that? I think Criterion's going to put that out, though. Like, what's happening now is they're licensing more and more stuff. But it's crazy that studios are licensing out their own library because they're like, nah, our research shows us it's not worth anything at all. So
Right.
we'll
I
give
mean,
it to somebody else.
if they can make it a reboot or, make any kind of money off of it, they're going to bury it.
Yeah.
So they can care less. They can care less whether we love them or not.
Yeah, and it's really frustrating. I mean, our cinema history, I really think there should be a national effort, maybe at the Smithsonian level to finance certain film restorations or just put, as much as they can.
This hasn't been part of the Smithsonian. I know Selena has. La Bamba,
No, but I mean our rich cinematic history. I'm not saying that, they pick 25 movies a year to go into the National Film Registry, which is fine. But I mean, these kinds of movies are unless one of the great things about the DVD and Blu-ray revolution is you had all these cult film labels that actively went after all these movies that you couldn't see for so long and find. Like I remember trying to get bootleg videos of Dario Argento's movies like Suspiria or Inferno or Deep Red in the 80s. You couldn't get them, you know, and then when the DVD realm came out, you had people like Elite and Blue Underground and Anchor Bay, and suddenly we had a deluge of all of these great exploitation titles that you couldn't get, and now we have them, but now nobody cares because the people, like, the one thing about streaming is they've got analytics, and if people aren't going to watch them, they'll get rid of the movies. So a lot of these low budget exploitation films that nobody knows about, what is their ultimate fate? Are they just going to be relegated to the dustbin of history? I hope not.
I mean, either that or, you know, you're lucky enough to have the DVDs. Like, for me, I have 3 different versions of The Warriors that I'm never getting rid of because it's one of the greatest movies of all time.
All time. Wait, where do I? Oh, I can't.
Really fast while you're looking for that. Leonardo Guillen.
I can quote that entire film.
For 125 Mexican pesos. Rob, bro, you could definitely start a cult. We'll follow you anywhere, man.
Can you count? Suckers! I say the future is ours.
If you can count.
If you can count. We have the Sorensens sitting next.
Wow.
This is next to the Jones Street Boys.
One of the greatest movies of all.
The Moon Runners, right by the Van Cortlandt Rangers. Nobody is wasting nobody. And that is a miracle.
Love
and
it.
Miracles was the way things was meant to be.
Love it.
We got 9 delegates from 100 gangs. And there are over 100 more.
Wow.
What is it? 60,000 soldiers. 40,000 counting affiliates. And 20,000 more that are unaffiliated but ready to fight. Or whatever. I got it wrong. I got the math wrong.
Joe, that was impressive. That was highly impressive.
Did you like that? I mean, I love The Warriors.
You know what's funny? Now, the movie
Warriors.
itself only has about like 15 minutes of dialogue throughout the whole
It's not a lot, right?
It is
amazing.
It is one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yes.
It's got the great soundtrack. It's got Barry DeVore's on score. And my God. And by the way, like you said, Indicator in Australia released a box set on Blu-ray that has the theatrical version because
really?
Why did Walter Hill fuck it up and put out that ridiculous director's cut with the weird...
You know what? I have it, but I never watched it. I still have the original cut.
Yeah. I mean, that's the... It's so... What do you know about Cyrus? Magic. Whole lot of magic.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good. Man, do I love that movie. And everyone's like, what? People are looking at me like I'm out of my mind.
Oh,
look.
I start my show with that scene. So
so you know.
Believe me when I say I am a huge fan of The Warriors.
Oh my God.
Easily in my top 3 films of all time.
It's even the opening credits in the subway coming at you. It's so groundbreaking. That movie is so good.
I remember the first time I saw it was a double feature. My dad took me to see that and Escape from New York, and that was one of the greatest nights I ever had.
Oh my God!
I mean, 2 classics, man.
Nice,
and I'm this kid just watching, it's bright-eyed and just blown away.
By the way, you must have loved seeing in that last John Wick 4 trailer.
Oh, absolutely.
When they had the whole,
yes.
You know, that was so.
He saw the movie. He saw the movie.
Oh, you've seen the movie. I haven't seen the movie. I can't wait.
We're going back tomorrow night to see it. Well, I haven't seen it.
But in that trailer, it's like, what Papa's? She was so great.
Oh, there's a big nod to the Warriors in John Wick 4.
Oh, I cannot wait. No, I can't. I cannot reach it. But well, wait. Maybe I can. Hang on. Let me see if I can.
All right, guys, we're gonna.
Hold on. Wait.
Okay, Rob's gonna check.
As you can see, my ass. So check this out.
It was a sexy side. We saw some sex. Oh.
Okay, so this is the 1/12 scale Mezco action figure box set.
Oh, you lucky son of a bitch.
Jeez.
So you got
very nice.
You got
what are all the little things on the side?
Oh, it comes with all the, so it's got on the top. Well, I can't. It'd be a mess to open this up.
Yeah,
and then
don't
it's got
mess it
2 of the baseball furies in it, and
Nice.
this is a tin box.
Okay.
So
Sick.
yeah, it's
We
like
need that for Blood and Blood Out.
I don't even
have
buy
Blood and Blood Out action
12
figures?
scale stuff. I only get 6 scale, but I had to get this.
Well, you know what's the with the 3D printers, man? You can make your own Blood and Blood Out.
It's true.
I'm already seeing them here. Wow.
I mean, it's like all of a sudden. Sorry if I showed a little ass crack. I had to get that. Nobody cares but me, but you too now too,
I
Dante.
absolutely care. Yes.
I mean, it's like I can't. And it's what's funny is that was one of the first. That was a Paramount film. Paramount Home Video put that out.
It was. Surprisingly.
And it had an interesting box because when it first came out, the box, it was a VHS box, but it flipped open and you slid the tape out. And let me just tell you that that movie, I've watched that movie 100 times on VHS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I showed it to everybody.
And what's funny is, like, a lot of my friends don't get it, which is fine, but I wish they understood how, like, just amazing this movie is.
I'm going to stick that bat up your ass and turn you into a popsicle. I mean, it's so great.
Ajax, man.
So good.
What are your feelings on we'll wrap it up. What are your feelings on Funko Pop action figures?
I mean, I you know what? There's some that I do have, but
Yeah.
I never bought into the craze of it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have like some major big collection. I got like certain figures that meant
Wait,
something
are those
to me.
real though? Are those real
Yeah.
Funko Pops?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that they ever made those. I would buy those Funko Pops.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah. My whole thing about Funko Pops is, I like the most realistic kind of action figures.
Mm-hmm.
And Funko Pops just seem like they seem like it was a very cheap way to make a lot of money. And I have no problem with making money like that, but I would rather have the most accurate, those 1/12, those Mezco 1/12 scale figures, or 1/10 or whatever. They're really good. And I've wanted to have all the Warriors. I want Cochise. I want a 6 scale figure of Cochise.
Rembrandt.
Or Rembrandt. with this
holding his paint.
Yeah, with the paint.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it would be. I want everyone to know the Warriors were there.
So we're gonna wrap up. Technically, we have 99 likes and 1 dislike. So we have 100.
Who disliked this channel?
Someone who's very unhappy in their lives. Can we get one more positive, one more thumbs up? It's been an incredible talk. Thank you guys. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm gonna chapter and timestamp this stream because it was
We
pretty epic.
we should do a Warriors stream.
I'd love to.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Pick it. When we do it on verbal, right, or what?
I don't know. We got to do it. Yeah, I am being yelled at. I have to come. I have to come for dinner.
Yeah, actually,
gotta
I'm
go.
going too. So,
This is gonna be a cold ending, guys, because I want to say goodbye to the gentlemen on the chat. You can get their links in the video box description. Much love, everyone. Wherever you're at, keep your slant. Verte.